This is a complete step-by-step tutorial for Amazon FBA in Australia for complete beginners. Now, before you watch this video or after you watch this video, if you want to learn more and you want to get involved with really getting serious with Amazon FBA, click the first link down below and book a call with myself. I've been helping beginners to start selling on Amazon right here in Australia for the past 6 years, and I'll be able to help you out as well. Just click the first link down below and book a call with me. We'll run over where you are at with Amazon FBA, where you're at with your business, and how we can help you out. So welcome, we've got a lot to get through, okay? I'm gonna be moving my head around a lot here because I haven't made the slide to fit in my webcam, okay? This is how I roll, that is fine. So, first thing here, have you noticed over the past few years, you hear more and more of your friends and family say, I bought it from Amazon, right? I know in the apartment where I live, over the past 2-3 years, I have seen a lot more Amazon packages sitting, delivered, okay, waiting for people to pick them up. There's a lot more over the past, if we sort of backtrack to 3 or 4 years ago, you wouldn't see as many Amazon packages. Maybe you don't hear your friends and family talking about it, okay, but you may have heard it, in passing. I know I've heard a lot more about people buying from Amazon, talking about Amazon in general, okay, even from my own parents. I hear my mum a lot of the time say, well, I just bought it from Amazon. I ask her about where she bought this, where she bought that, and she's saying, no, I bought it from Amazon, right? And I would like to say I was the one out of the family who started buying Amazon first. I've always loved Amazon. Just their delivery service is great. I love it, especially if you live in the city. It's great. But you just hear a lot of it. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because, we're going to talk about selling on Amazon and the way to know whether something is more and more popular is you hear it. You hear a lot about it. So if people are buying a lot from Amazon, it means they're selling. A lot more people are beginning to sell on Amazon as well. It's becoming a more popular platform. So first thing I want to talk about is Amazon. Amazon Australia launched in 2017. Okay. So amazon.com.au launched in late 2017. Now the main thing here as well is we're looking at the monthly visitors. So it launched in 2017 and there's 44 million monthly visitors. Probably more than that, right? I think this is a bit of an old stat. eBay launched in Australia in 1999 and there's 65 million monthly visitors. So we're looking at this here. Amazon launched, you look, 17, 18 years, okay, apart, and they've already just exploded with 44 million monthly visitors. So that's just something to think about, okay? They haven't been around for half the time as eBay, at least in Australia, and their numbers are exploding here for the amount of people using it. I think it's because of the product's quality that they sell here and their service as well. So main thing here as well in relation to that is that number of Amazon sellers, okay, 1.9 million sellers currently actively selling on the marketplace. This is worldwide, only about 2 million. There's probably more at this stage, right? But that means there's more opportunity to sell, right? So because only 2 million, okay, a lot more people are using Amazon to buy, means there's more opportunity to sell. So that's the main thing here, right? Now, why Amazon AU? And again, one thing here is a lot of my content is directed towards Amazon Australia, and it's just because I'm an Aussie, and main thing here when I started selling on Amazon, I started selling in the US, but I started talking about it sort of from an Aussie perspective, and that's where my YouTube and e-com kind of career, online content career started, because a lot of people liked it. Wasn't really many people talking about Amazon Australia, right? When I started, right? But in Australia, it's 26 million. Okay, 26 million people in Australia. In the US, there's 375 million, close to that. That's crazy, right? Now, why does this matter? Okay, so we're looking at Amazon Australia and US. Okay, so we're looking at, yes, maybe the AU market's smaller, okay, because a lot of people say, why don't you just sell in the US? It's so much bigger. And that is true, okay? Obviously, US is a lot more people. So we're looking at the AU being a smaller pond and the US, in terms of customers, AU is a smaller pond and the US is like a big ocean. So why don't you just go to the whole ocean instead of, fishing in the small pond, right? And that's how I like to look at it. So why so? So we're looking at this, right? Looking at the whole ocean of the US. The only thing is in the US, you'll be competing with big players. So yes, you get the big fish in the ocean. Maybe you don't get as big of a fish in the pond. But the main thing is that you're looking at people with these massive sailboats, okay? You're looking at people with all the utilities, all the tech, okay? You have people with all the money coming into the US. it's hard for you as a beginner to say you start with $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, maybe even $5,000. Then you got these massive players in the US. They're starting with 50, 100,000, 150,000, 500,000 to just launch a product, right? You've got these massive brands. It's like there's potential in the US. There's always potential in the US, and I have students who sell in the US as of right now, and it's working well for them. But as a beginner, I like the AU market because it's just a bit smaller. And even though the sales volume isn't the same as the US, you've got opportunity to fit yourself in, especially as a beginner. If you don't want to spend 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 on your first order, that's why it's kind of like the AU. Yes, it's possible on the US, but there's just a lot more room in the AU, you know, from what I've experienced the past 4 or 5 years, right? From what I've seen, okay? So Amazon Australia is still in the golden era. What I mean by that is Amazon Australia isn't at that US point, okay? The ratio, or let's just say the amount of sellers, the amount of competition, I think it's still in the golden era. Golden era is still going to be on for quite some time, in my opinion, okay? But I said it was in the golden era back in 2018, right? And I still think it's in the golden era. It's not going to last forever, but I think it's in the golden era of you can get in at a lower price point. Yes, it's getting more competitive, but it's not at the US point, okay? And it's not going to be for quite some time, where it's very, very hard. Well, it's a lot harder to find those niches that you can fit yourself into without getting kicked out by the big players, right? So that's why I say it's in a golden era. Now, who's that? Who is that? Okay, who's that handsome fella there? Right? Hey, I'm Jack. Okay, just so you know, I probably did a bit of an intro video to this. I tend to film my things at different times, so I don't know if I've already done a video of me, but I'll talk a little bit about myself, just so you know who I am. Okay, I'm a 28-year-old entrepreneur. Myself, I started selling on Amazon in 2017. I did all my research and everything. I actually got into learning about it in 2016, but I started in 2017 actually selling, and I sold in the US market. And my first product, I was lucky enough to find a product that sold. First product hit 4,000 plus in sales in a month, which is crazy to me. I did it in the Christmas period, and it was just crazy. I remember at the time I was in my retail job. Back then I was working at JB Hi-Fi. And I remember each morning I was walking to my car, to the shop, to get started, to the store, to get started, for my day working a retail job. And I was looking at my sales, and each morning I remember it was growing. I had like 2 units a day, 5 units a day, 10 units a day I was selling. And then it got to a point where I remember I was hitting like 21 units a day. And this was like hundreds and hundreds of dollars in revenue. I was making profit off of that. And I was looking at the Amazon seller app, and I was going, this is insane. This was before I did any content, just before I did any content or anything, or even gave people advice on it or anything like that. It was just crazy. It was a crazy time, and it blew my mind to what was possible on selling on Amazon. It was just cool. So cool for me. And it's the same for a lot of other sellers as well. But that's the first time I sold. I've sold sold other products in the US as well. I've launched products in the AU as well. And just so you know, being completely transparent, I don't sell as much as what I used to. Okay, I barely sell what I used to on Amazon, because for the past 4 or 5 years I've been running an education company, and that's been my main income. I'm just going to be completely transparent with you right now. It's my main income. I'm proud that it's my main income, because I've been able to teach people and get people way further than what I ever did on Amazon. But I just have a knack for teaching, and I really have a passion for teaching as well. And that's why I do videos like this. And that's why I have Ecom Educate. This stuff isn't easy, okay? And it's the same as an Amazon FBA business. But I like to think of it as like a tennis coach or a football coach, right? The coaches don't always necessarily, go to the big grand slams like what the players do, right? They don't go to the big grand finals, what the players do, but they have a knack for teaching how to do it. I'd like to think of myself as that, okay? Even though I've done it myself before, I know how the process works. I know the process that actually works to do it. I like teaching it. I have a knack for teaching it, and I'm proud of Ecom Educate, what I've done, and I like being able to teach it to others, because I think I can teach them a lot. So that's just a little backstory. I wanted to be completely transparent about that stuff, because I know a lot of people who are out there who teach it, sell courses and coaching. They try and make themselves out to be some, Amazon millionaires, and I'm just not like that. I'd rather be transparent for you guys. But a bit about Ecom Educate is I founded it in mid 2018. Back then it was called Amazon Seller Excellence, and then I changed it to Ecom Excellence, and now it's Ecom Educate. I like that name. It's nice and clean. Now we've got over 2,300 Aussie students. So we've been on a good ride so far since 2018, but we've had a lot of different sellers, a lot of different successful sellers, which we'll get into as well, which is really, really cool to see. But a bit of backstory about me with the education side, right? So now we have students selling in AU, US, and UK markets. It's really cool to see. Have all different kinds of sellers. We have sellers making 1K a month all the way up to 40K a month. And I have interviews with the people that are doing with one of the sellers that's doing 40K a month. And I have another one that's doing sales of like 130K a year and things like that. So everyone's at different levels, right? But I'm really, really happy that I was able to sort of be the catalyst to people to get started, right? And like I've said, I'll say in other parts of this video, that's come from off the backs of those sellers, those students who've done the hard work themselves, right? So I don't want to take that away from them. Maybe the course was a catalyst to get them started, get their first product up and running, right? But or the coaching, whatever it may be. But this is off the backs of the students' hard work, and not just from students of my course, just sellers in general that are selling on the Aussie market. It's just a business that they have to run, right? And that's how you need to think of it, okay? So this video is going to be a step-by-step guide. Instead of talking about me, I don't want to talk about me in this video the whole time. That'll be completely boring. All right, I want to teach you actually some practical stuff. So this is going to be more of a step-by-step guide for Amazon.com.au. So what we'll be covering: Amazon FBA, the business model, what the business model is, the business structure, or the best business structure, in my opinion, product research techniques, look at finding and contacting suppliers, we'll look at sending your product to an Amazon warehouse, and then selling your first product and growing a brand, all the exciting stuff, right? So first thing I want to note is you can sell in Australia as an international student. Okay, so I've got a video on that. Selling an international student is in the course as well. Okay, or I think it's in a free part of the course where you've got some initial videos. You don't even have to sign up to the course. You can view it for free. If you were born outside of Australia and you want to learn if you can sell on Amazon, I've got videos on YouTube and then free videos on the actual course website you can check out as well, because you can sell in Australia. You can sell on Amazon Australia without being born here. Okay, so does Amazon FBA actually work? Let's take a look at some of these successful Aussie sellers. So we're going to cut to me actually talking about that, talking about successful sellers and if it actually works. So we're just on the Ecom Educate website on the Amazon FBA page. And if we scroll right down to the bottom, these are just a few references. Now I have all of these on my Instagram as well if you want to check them out, but these are just a few references to student success and sellers who have began selling on the Aussie market and other markets like the US and the UK. Just a little bit about what's possible, especially when selling on Amazon, okay? And these were complete beginners. So we've got a few sellers here, and I've just put here, let's have a look at some real student results, real students getting real results, okay? So I'm not making this up, right? This has been off, yes, I would say, in my opinion, without sounding biased, the course has been the beginning sort of catalyst to be able to get them to that point of, okay, they know how to launch their first product on Amazon. But these sales that I'm about to show you, these results, have come off off the backs of these people, this hard work that they put into the business, okay? Like I said here, the program helps you. It's basically like the beginning catalyst to point you in the right direction, how to do everything, how to get everything set up. That's what the program's for. It's designed to help complete beginners to get their first product up and start selling. But the hard work comes from, to get to this point, 500K a year, 130K a year. To get to that point, it takes a lot of work, okay? And that you can't get that from a program. You can't get that. Yes, you can get extra coaching, right? Yes, you can get extra information, but nothing's going to move in your business if you don't do it yourself, right? So just to really show you, one of my first successful students, Athar, he now handles multiple selling accounts. He's got, the most recent time I spoke to him was a week ago, a few days ago actually, and he's now got US seller account as well. He's got UK accounts and he's got AU selling account. So all under his name, right? And he sells products on all these different markets, and got to a point of like selling about 500K a year, and the profits on that, just to really show you what's possible. The profits on that were like, off memory, they were at least 30%. I think they were about 30 to 40%. And he, after his first sort of year of selling, he ended up I don't have it in this screenshot, but he ended up just being able to leave his job. He basically got fired during the COVID period, and then a year later, as he was doing other work, he was able to sell full time and he didn't have to work anymore. That's like the crazy godlike scenario. But there's a lot of work that went into that. Okay, I'm in no position to guarantee sales or anything like that, but I'm just showing you, what's possible, and the amount of work that you put in really reflects in your business, right? We've got another seller here, Raf, selling 130K a year in the AU market. Okay, he's put here, looks like there have been quite a few new members recently. Here's some motivation with the outcome on my sales from the last 30 days. Good luck on your journey. Happy to help along the way. So these two sellers here I actually had interviews with. You can check them out on my channel if you want. Really great guys and very, very motivated sellers. As you can see, 130K a year in the AU market is quite good. Now, this was like a year or two ago. So I actually have to have a follow-up with Raf here because I think he'd have even more sales per year. I'd love to catch up with him, see how he's going. But again, hard work. He had 7 to 8 different products, and that's why he was able to get to that amount. Okay, so we've also got Rahul here. This is more of a recent screenshot that I got sent in the last couple of months, right? A couple of months ago, selling 80K a year in the AU market. So this was within 14 months of selling. So still, these numbers might not seem like a big amount, but if you're taking into consideration, this is an online business that you started from scratch, right? You can start with, say, it grows exponentially, cash flow business. It starts from maybe $1,000 to $2,000 getting started with your first order. If you can grow this business that's going to almost 80K per year, right? Might not seem like much at the time, but you get that bit of extra income each month. Something that can grow exponentially. The amount that you get back from it is really depends on how much you want to work on the business. See, that's the thing. All cash flow, but you can get that extra bit of profit, that income each month, and it's just crazy to see making 30 to 40% margins on this. I know there's a lot of sellers out there that get as high as 60% profit margins. Just crazy what you can achieve selling on Amazon, right? We've got a few different sellers here as well, which you can look at on the website. Again, this is just to show you what's possible. I'm not sitting here saying that, if you start Amazon FBA, you're going to make all this money and you become a millionaire. It's very cash flow heavy business. And the thing that I like about it, it's a very proven business model. That's why I like to teach it. That's why I got into it myself. And I really like the idea of it, right? But this is just to show you what's possible. The only thing I would just, say to consider here is just make sure that you're being taught. If you want to be taught by someone, make sure you're being taught by the right person. Okay. A lot of people have come to me because they like that it's Aussie focused, right? So this isn't so much an advertisement for the course, but it's just to show you what's possible on the Aussie market and just to really tell you, whoever you choose to go with, coaching, a course, wherever, just make sure that what they're teaching is not all about the sales figures and hey, you can sit on a Lambo and sit on the beach and do this. I hate talking about that kind of stuff because it's not realistic, and so I'll show you the realistic side of it and what is possible. It takes hard work, just like these sellers here. Okay, all these sellers here, it's off their own backs of hard work. I've just am happy that I've been able to be the catalyst that gets them started in the right direction. That's what I'll say. I like that part of it. Okay, so these are just some student results just to show you all about what is possible, especially on the Aussie market. The question I get asked is, Jack, can we still sell on Amazon Australia if we weren't born in Australia or if we're visiting Australia, say on a working visa or a student visa? And the answer is yes, you can. I'm going to show here from Amazon themselves, their website, the list of accepted countries, and it'll be scrolling down here. You can see the list of accepted countries here for from where you can sell in Australia. It's quite a big list. So the one thing to note here is you may need to provide a little bit more information, say if you were born in Australia, if you're a permanent resident in Australia, more than likely you're going to need the information of where you were born as well as the information where you are if you're currently residing in Australia. So the other things you'll need are a valid phone number and an internationally chargeable credit card. This could be a Visa, a MasterCard, or American Express. Now, even if you do have all of this, you may run into some trouble when first starting your account. But when you go to get your account verified, you may run into some trouble of maybe needing more information or maybe validating some certain information. And the only reason you may be running into some troubles is because Amazon just want to make sure you are who you say you are. And that may be a tiny bit of a longer process if you weren't born in Australia. And that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just they want to make sure that you are who you say you are. If you've moved over to Australia from another country, whether you are on a student visa or a working visa, or you're living here, or you're trying to get your permanent residency or whatever it may be, they may need some more information just to verify that you are who you say you are. So let's just say you've gone through and you've tried to put in all your information and you have a credit card, you have a valid phone number, but your account got knocked back and it says you're not able to sell. What can you do from there? I've seen a lot of people get into trouble with this and they're not sure on what steps to take. You can either give them a phone call or you can email them. A lot of the time emailing is a lot easier in my opinion. So I would personally send them an email and just ask, what information do I need? What can I do to sell on Amazon in Australia? And if you are acting like you actually want to work with them instead of trying to fight them and say, why isn't my account this? Why isn't my account that? If you're saying, okay, what do I need? I'll give you any information you need. Because basically once your account's verified, that's it. It's like, there's not too much you can do. Well, I guess there is a lot you can do to get your account banned on Amazon, I guess, if you put it into perspective. But once it's verified, unless you're doing something wrong on the platform, that's it. It's just verified. So in terms of identity verification, they're going to ask for either a license or a passport. Usually the surefire way of getting verified is to use a passport. So if you have that, that's probably your best bet. If you do have a license, it might be a bit difficult if you've got an Australian license, even if you have a license from your own country. I would personally be using a passport in this instance just because it is the most surefire way of getting verified and really being, saying who you actually are. So this video was very, very, very short, but there's not really too much to say. Like I said, I'll link down below the video on how to actually get your account up and running, how to actually apply to sell on Amazon. But apart from that, the rest of it is, okay, putting in as much information, being as clear as you can. That's the best advice I can give you for that, especially if you're someone who's born outside of Australia. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. If you do get knocked back from your account, email them back and just ask what you need, whether it could be bank statements, whether it could be, again, like a passport, another piece of identification, whether it could be the kind of card you're using to pay. Because the reason you need an international credit card is because you need to pay to use the selling services process. So before I get into it, a few things that you're going to need before creating your seller account. One is you're going to need a piece of verification for your ID. So you're either going to need a driver's license or a passport. They're the two that are more than likely going to get accepted. Next thing you're going to need is a document that contains your address. So that could usually be a bank statement or a utility bill, something that shows it's got the exact same address on your license or the other piece of ID that you've given to Amazon. You're going to need to make sure that that bill or that document has the same address as what your ID is. And the last thing you're going to need is either a debit card or a credit card. I've used debit cards in the past, which should be fine, but just make sure if you're using a credit card, it's a credit card that can be charged internationally. What I mean by that is it can be charged in USD. Okay, so most of the time you're going to get charged in USD. Just make sure whatever card you're using, it's under your name, has the same details, obviously, as your ID that you've given, and then it can be charged internationally in USD. Now, just quickly, one main point I wanted to give here. If you are someone who was born outside of Australia, you still can apply to sell in Australia. Maybe you're on a working visa, maybe you're on a student visa, you can apply to sell in Australia. The main thing I want to note with that is usually you're going to need a credit card instead of a debit card, and the piece of ID that you give more than likely is going to have to be a passport. Okay, you can't usually use a driver's license, even if you have an Australian driver's license, or sometimes they do approve the your country residence if you have a license there or a piece of ID from there. Usually that works as well, but usually a passport is going to be the best thing to give Amazon. It's usually the fastest thing to get accepted. You just want to make sure that all your documents match up each bit of information. So make sure that all of your documents have the same name and have the same address. There's a lot of people, a lot of my students, a lot of followers that have tried to get in and create the Amazon seller account, but they get rejected and they're not sure why. Most of the reasons is because they either don't have a proper credit card on there or they don't have the right information connecting up together. It's just basically they've got an address that's different on their license, and then they give them a utility bill or something else, another document that's got a completely different address. So just make sure that they're the same, okay? Make sure the information's the same, and then you should be good to go. But that's pretty much everything you're going to need before you get started. So we're jumping to my computer now, and I'll show you the entire process. It doesn't take very long, but I think it's easier just if you watch someone else do it, just in case you make sure you don't miss any steps or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So here's exactly what you need to do to apply for an Amazon seller account. Now, if we're selling in Australia, if you want to create a Seller Central account for Australia, you need to make sure that it is sell .amazon.com.au. You need to make sure that that's the website. I'll link it down below in the description. Okay, you just need to make sure that you click on that. It will bring you to the website, amazon.com.au. Make sure that it's that website. Then you just click sign up. Now, one thing that I want to note before I take you through any of this, okay, as soon as you input all this information, and you'll see me put in the information in all the forms, okay, there's only a few pages that you need to fill out. Now, one thing really quickly I wanted to mention about the selling plans, okay, because I said just before that they're going to charge you $49.95. Now, you can go on the individual plan, but from what I've seen, for some reason, when you sign up, they'll automatically put you on the professional account. And then afterwards, after they charge you the $49.95, then you can go ahead and change to the individual account in your settings, okay? But you need to pay that $49.95 first. Now, I'm not sure why this is the case, okay? When I've signed up, every time I've signed up, I can't see an option, unless I'm just completely blind, I can't see an option for the individual. So that's one thing to note here, is that when you first sign up, as soon as you sign up, it's going to charge you that $49.95, okay? So what I would recommend is just as soon as you sign up, maybe you have to pay the $49.95. Majority of the time, you're going to have to. And then you go ahead into your settings and downgrade to the individual, okay? And then I would just keep it at the individual until you know that, you know, what you're going to sell, and you figure out the rest of that later on. But the main reasons why you'd have the professional is just if you're selling through Amazon FBA. It does say here, grow your business with fulfillment by Amazon on the individual plan, but majority of the time you're going to need the professional. So if you're using an Amazon account to use the FBA method, that's the one that I would suggest is professional. But what I recommend, if you're not sure what you're selling yet, just do the professional. You may have to pay the $59.95 for the first month, and then just change it to individual. At least then you won't have to pay $50 a month continuously until you find what you want to sell. Okay, so just change it to individual once you get into your Sell Essential, right? Once you create your account and you get approved. Okay, so what you're going to do from here is, once you click on sign up, it's going to take you to this page here. Okay, now, obviously, we don't have an account, so we can't sign in, but what you want to click here is create your Amazon account. Okay, you've got your first and last name here, and then it's going to, you choose an email to use, you put in a password, you re-enter your password. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll go to the next step. Once you go through and click next, it will send you a one-time password to the email that you use. So you want to go ahead and put in that one-time password from your email. Now, if you can't find this, because it should show up straight away, just make sure to check your spam or any junk emails just in the sections in your emails, because it may have gone there. Most of the time it won't, but just make sure. Okay, and then once you find your email, then you can go ahead and click create your Amazon account. Now, if you still haven't gotten it, if you checked everywhere, just click resend one-time password and it will send you a new one. You also want to make sure that you've got the right email address in, okay? You want to make sure that you've entered that in correctly. That might be another reason why you haven't got the email sent to you yet. So again, like we've been saying, okay, we're on to the next step here. It says, welcome, here's what to expect. Like I said, you're going to need valid government issued ID or passport, recent bank account or credit card statements, okay, chargeable credit card, and a mobile phone. Now, the only thing that I forgot to say in the intro here is that you're going to need a phone number, but majority of people have a mobile phone, okay? So that's the only other thing you'll need. Okay, so it says, we'll verify, provide your information, we'll verify your submission, get verified and start selling. So we'll go ahead and click begin, go to the first step. Now, usually the first part here is just some personal details, so business location. Obviously we're in Australia, so we want to go ahead and click Australia. Entity type. So usually what you're going to be is an individual, okay? Unless you are a public or privately owned business, you're just going to say none, I'm an individual. Okay, and it says, please ensure your business type selection is correct. Okay, so an individual, you're just going to be selling under your own name most of the time, even if you don't have an ABN. Okay, just one thing I get asked a lot is, do you need an ABN if you're in Australia? Most of the time, no, you won't need an ABN to get started. Although I always suggest getting an ABN. I'm not a tax professional. Okay, I'm not an accountant. I always suggest getting an ABN though. Once you're, as soon as you're starting your own business, I suggest getting an ABN. Okay, but it isn't a necessity. It's not required to to sign up to Amazon, right? So put in the details here. You can put in your middle name if you want. I confirm my business location and type are correct. I understand that this information cannot be changed later, so just make sure that your names are correct. Click yes, agree. So here's the next step, and it's a primary contact information. So obviously you just want to put in your details. Very, very simple. You're going to need, this is why you need a phone to get your verification, because it always is like an extra layer of security. So this is where you're going to put in your phone number, and we're just going to go ahead and fill out these details. It's a very, very simple page. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out now, and then we'll go to the next step. One thing as well, really quickly, I wanted to mention, if you are born outside of Australia, you've got your country of citizenship and then your country of birth. So let's just say if you're someone born outside of Australia, but you are living in Australia currently, or you have an Australian citizenship, right? You can go ahead and choose Australia for your citizenship, and then you can choose your country of birth, because Amazon take that into account when you send them your proof of identity. Okay, so make sure that all the information, as long as you're making sure that all the information is correct that you're sending over, okay, don't lie, obviously. And then the ID that you send over, make sure, like I said in the beginning, that it all matches up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill this out. Obviously, I was born in Australia, so I'm going to fill this out now with all my Aussie info, and then we'll go ahead to the next step. So again, you want to make sure you've got all your details correct. Now I'm going to receive my PIN through my mobile phone, through SMS. You want to make sure that you've just typed in the security thing here. This is just another security measure. Make sure that you type in these characters right. Okay, I've got my phone number in here, and then we're just going to go ahead and click send SMS. That's going to give us a one-time PIN. So once that is received to your mobile phone, if you don't receive it, make sure that you've got your phone number into correct, typed out correctly. Now, if you don't receive this one-time PIN, just make sure that you've got your number typed in correctly. For Aussie mobile numbers, it will be +61, and then take out the 0 at the start of the 04 and whatever it may be. So it's +61, take out the 0, so it's +61, then 4, and then the rest of your phone number. Okay, so just make sure that you've got that typed in correctly, and then you can put in your one-time PIN. So once that's done, your number will be added, and then we can go ahead and hit next. So now we're up to the payment information, and just like I was saying before, it says here you'll be charged a professional selling subscription fee of $49.95 for the first month. You will continue to be charged this fee each month if you have active listings. If you do not have active listings, you will not be charged a subscription fee in that month. Just make sure as well, okay, you more than likely might be charged as soon as you click next on this page. Otherwise, it will be after you're first verified. So just keep that in mind, okay? You just be prepared to pay the $50 after this page, okay? It either is going to be charged to your card, or it will be charged after your verification. So keep that in mind, okay? And I would also just make sure to change to individual seller. Even if it says here that you won't be charged the $50, it's better to just, once you've gotten verified, to go into your settings and to change to the individual seller fee, so you're not paid, you're not charged $50 each month. So if you're okay with that, obviously it's got your billing address down the bottom here. I've had to block that out, but you can go ahead and put in your credit card number or your debit card. Now it says here credit card. A lot of the time debit cards do work. Okay, so go ahead and try your debit card, but sometimes it will require a credit card. It also can sometimes depend on your information. But a lot of the time debit cards work for me. For this instance, I'm going to be using a credit card, so just keep that in mind. So next thing it's going to ask you for on the next page is your store and product information. Now it's going to ask for a store name, okay, and you can change this later on. So this usually you can just change this straight from your settings. So don't worry too much about it. You can either make it your name, or if you know your store name, we'll just say, for this instance, we'll do something like coffee here, okay? See if that's taken. I'm not sure if it will be taken or not, but a lot of the time it will either tell you, and you can change it anyway. Okay, to be safe, when I very first started, I just put in my name here and change it later on. So put in your store name. It says, do you have universal product code? So these are barcodes, more than likely not. So you click no. Okay, it's going to also check. This one is actually available, which is really, really cool. So it will tell you if it's available or not. So if it's not, then just change it to something else. Again, you can change this later on. Are you the manufacturer or brand owner for any of the products you want to sell on Amazon? Usually we're going to click yes for this, because if we're doing Amazon FBA and we're sourcing from China, sourcing from Alibaba or something like that, we usually just put yes for the manufacturer or brand owner. So I always put yes. It says, do you own government registered trademark for the branded products you want to sell? If yes, then you can click yes. Most of the time it's going to be no. So we'll click no for this instance, okay? Because if you have a say if you've got a government registered trademark for your name here in Australia, that allows you to a lot more options on Amazon. Okay, that's for another video, but for this instance, I don't want to flood your brain with too much information. Okay, so for this instance, we'll say no, but it does ask you for that because it allows you to use your brand name for a lot of different things on Amazon, just for a bit of extra info on that. So once we've done that, we want to go ahead and click next. The last page here that we've got is the identity and address verification. Okay, and this is pretty much the last step that you need to do. I've got a lot of this information blocked out because it's got my info on there. Now, I'm not actually going to go through past this page because after this is just the verification, okay? And it's pretty much, that's pretty much it after this. So all it's asking you to do on this page is upload the front and back of your driver's license document, because I chose driver's license. If you chose passport, I'll ask you to upload your passport, okay? So make sure that it's either a clear photo or it's a scan. Usually I just take a nice clear photo on my phone, crop it, so it's just the front and back of the license. I send that to them. Make sure that everything can be read clearly on the photo. You should be good. Again, with this proof of address stuff, okay, so make sure that with your driver's license or your passport, make sure that you got the same name, the same address as you've written down, and then your proof of address as well. You can either choose a bank account statement or a credit card statement. Make sure that everything matches up. And once you upload those documents, you want to go ahead and click next. That will bring you to the last page here, this verification page. And then that's pretty much it. So usually how it happens, just as a bit of information, usually how it happens is once you have all this information set in, if you are born in Australia, most of the time from what I've seen, as long as you got all the information, if you're born in Australia, it should take maybe like a day or two, okay, to get approved, okay? Maybe the processes might be quite a bit longer now because it's been quite a while since I've made a brand new account, a brand new seller account. But if you are born outside of Australia and you're a citizen in Australia, okay, it might take a little bit longer just because there's a bit more information to get through there. Majority of the time, it shouldn't take too long, okay? So usually if you are stuck, or let's just say if it doesn't get approved, Amazon will let you know, and a lot of the time they'll either tell you why it is not approved. If not, you can email them back, and there might be a bit of back and forth, but a lot of the time they will let you know why. It's either your address didn't match up or they didn't approve because they didn't get the right information. If that does happen, you can sign up again with a different email account and just make sure that you got the right information. Maybe you need a credit card this time. Maybe you need just something different. Okay, maybe you tried your driver's license and it didn't work, and then this time you use your passport. So just make sure that all the information matches up. And again, it might take a day or two, sometimes longer to get approved, but most of the time it doesn't take that long, especially if you've got all the information correct. So again, once you get past this page, that is pretty much all you need to do. After that, it's waiting. And then I'm going to show you what the inside of your Seller Central account is going to look like after you do get approved. So this is pretty much what your Seller Central dashboard is going to look like. Okay, you've got your name up the top here, and you've got pretty much not too much information when you first start. Okay, it might have, you might have, something in your inbox here just to, it might be Amazon telling you a bit of information when you first get in. You might, they might require a bit more information from you just to completely verify your account. But this is your main dashboard, and this is basically your hub for, your access to everything, creating listings, creating shipment plans, everything you need within your seller account, obviously to get payouts and everything. But this is your homepage, and this is how you get started. Okay, so very, very exciting stuff. Once you do finally get approved to sell on Amazon, it's a very, very exciting thing because it's basically like a gateway that opens you up to being able to sell. And obviously we're on the Aussie market here. I've got Australia here. I've also got United States, Mexico, and Canada. Okay, so I've got a few more there, but that's obviously because I created those accounts. One other thing that I want to note here is that you have to pay another fee. So you have to pay a fee on top for every marketplace. So I've got two at the moment. I've got Australia, which is obviously the $50, and then you've got another $40 or $50 for the United States, and United States covers Canada and Mexico. Okay, so that's the only thing to note, is that if you want to sell global, which I wouldn't recommend straight away as a beginner, you have to, again, create an account, or usually a lot of the time you can connect up this account to a US account, and it'll create a US account under that same name, under that same account info. They might ask you for a bit more extra info as well when you're signing up, especially if you're selling somewhere in the US, but then you will also have to pay a second monthly fee to do that. So that's the only other thing to note here, but this is pretty much all you need to know about creating your Amazon seller account. So how much do you need to get started? Okay, I would recommend, now this is probably going to be actually a little bit higher. I've put here a minimum 1,000, but I would say minimum about 1,500, 1,000 on the very, very low side. Okay. Now, why do we need minimum $1,000? Okay. So first thing is $1,000 is like a minimum order. That's going to be a small order, and that's factoring in shipping, any import taxes, or import duties, taxes, and things like that to get into the country, and just shipping charges in general for a small order. Okay, like I said, also covers other expenses like taxes and like import taxes, import duty, and things like that, like the import costs. Okay, all of that good stuff, all that fun stuff, right? Covers that. And main thing is that Amazon's a cash flow business, so you need that minimum order because it might sound like a lot to get started, but Amazon's a cash flow business. So that $1,000 you might be able to turn into maybe $1,500 or $2,000, and then you reinvest it and you get a bigger order. Okay, so $1,000 for your first order, maybe $1,500 or $2,000 for your next order, and you keep expanding. That's how you get to those sort of $5,000 selling marks, $10,000 selling marks. You keep reinvesting. That's why you need to start off with that amount. It's very hard to turn $100. Very, very hard to turn, say, $100 into 5,000, right? It's easier to turn 1 to 2,000 into 5,000. So that's why you need sort of that amount, right? Now, let's look at Amazon FBA. We'll look at, if you didn't know, Amazon FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, first of all. So that's the business model. Basically, what happens with this is, first, obviously, there's parts before this, getting a product, finding a product and getting it sent and all that. But the actual Fulfillment by Amazon part goes through the cycle of the sale is made. So it's on the Amazon website. Sale is made for your product. Amazon packs and ships the order from their warehouse to your customer for you. Okay, you don't have to worry about shipping it or anything like that. And you keep the profit. So you don't have to see or touch the product at all if you don't want to, unless you're getting product samples beforehand and things like that, or unless you want the product, right? But you really don't necessarily have to see the product or touch it at all. It can go straight from the supplier to Amazon warehouse and pretty much done, right? So after they pack it and ship it, after you pay the fees and whatnot, you keep the extra profit. That's the basic sort of, how to explain the basics of the business model. Okay, so let's just go, for instance, we'll have a look at, say, if we're selling a product like this, a coffee plunger, and how something like this would work, sort of the structure of it if you were to sell it. Okay, so here's a product example, a coffee French press. Let's say you purchase, your purchase cost from the supplier is $4 a unit. If you add the shipping and import taxes included, it's $4.75 a unit. Okay, so sell price, let's say we want to sell it for $30 or $29.97. Amazon's fulfillment cost is $9.50. Okay, now this is for a single unit, by the way. You would have to multiply this, say if you wanted 50 of them or 100 of them, you got to multiply all this unit cost by 100, and you work that out yourself. But this is just a per unit sort of cost. So let's say you sell it for $29.97. Amazon's fulfillment costs, so their referral fees, their sort of packing and shipping fees to get it all ready and sent it to the customer, it's $9.50 a unit. Okay, so this is how we would usually work it out as simple terms. $29.97, take the unit cost, $4.75, take the Amazon fulfillment cost, $9.50. Okay, so your net profit per unit before, we're not including Amazon advertising or promotions or anything like that. This is just if you were to sell it as is, $15.72 per unit. Now, obviously, this isn't just an exact cost. It can change depending on size, weight of the product, different categories of product and things like that. But this is the basis of how you'd sort of work it out, right? So that's what you're sort of looking at in terms of profit and how the costs sort of work out with an Amazon product, especially with the FBA model. Now, one quick little video I wanted to show you in addition to calculating our profit is actually finding out what the FBA fees might be. Getting as close to the FBA fees that are going to be taken from your product as you can, okay? So in order to do this, Amazon actually have a calculator called the FBA revenue calculator. I just typed in Amazon revenue calculator to Google and make sure it's the .com.au one. Now, it may ask you to sign in, or you can continue as guest. Continuing as a guest is fine. So what we're going to do right here is actually get a product that is similar to the one that we want to sell, because we need the weight and dimensions of the product so we can determine what our selling fees might be and the referral fee. So in order to do this, I just got a product that was very, very similar to ours, and you want the ASIN, okay? So it says enter in the ASIN or the keyword. We want the ASIN, and the ASIN is this one right here. It's the BO. It always starts with a BO or B0, and it's going to be in the link here. It's between these two slashes, right? So we want to copy this, okay? Control C, copy that, Control V. There we go, okay. Control V, there we go, and we go search. Okay, retrieving product information, it's got the package dimensions, the unit weight. Okay, then what we want to do from here is we want to type in what we know so far, just using the numbers. So we're going to be using Amazon fulfillment, so we're not going to worry about this column here because we're doing Amazon fulfillment. So what's our item price? So if we go back to our Word document here, we want to sell for $29.97. Okay, this is going to help you determine whether your product's going to be viable with the profit margin or not. Okay, so we've got the product cost, the item price, sorry, and then we've got the cost of the product. Now, our cost of product, so we've got $4.75 per unit, okay, and that is with, let's just say that is with the shipping and the taxes. Okay, so it's $4.75 per unit we've calculated there. Once we've figured out the cost of everything, so $29.97 sale price, and I just typed in the $4.75 cost of product, I hit calculate, and then it's got here, so how much is it going to cost for the seller fees? So we've got $2.10 for the seller fees, and then it's just calculating a monthly storage, right? 15 cents, okay, for monthly storage. That's just for one unit. So these are all the revenue costs, how much we pay to Amazon. So by the looks of it, we pay $4.75 to Amazon, right? So we're left with $22.97. That is, if you don't change the price, that's $22.97 net profit. So if you want to get more excited, you could say, okay, what if we sold 100 in a month? Okay, you're going to be paying $475 in fees, and you're left with $2,000. So our revenue is $2,997. And our profit is $2,297. Okay, so going by experience, the seller fees may actually be a little higher than this. I would say they're maybe closer to $3 or $4 in reality. But it's good to, you can try with different products as well. If you wanted to go somewhere here and you wanted to try a different product with different weights and whatnot, and just try out different things in the revenue calculator, you can do that. But this is a good way, in my experience, to get your head around what the seller fees will be when selling on Amazon, so you can actually get an accurate sort of number to what your profit will be. Okay, so from supplier to customer, okay, directly from supplier to customer without seeing or touching your product. That is basically the way that Amazon FBA works. That's the business model. So like I said, you can go directly from the supplier to customer. Don't have to ever see or touch the product. It's a really, really cool business model to get into. And obviously there's a bit of learning curve at the start, but it's a very, very solid business model, right? Especially for online business. So let's have a look at taxes and legalities really, really quickly. Now, this isn't legal advice. Okay, this is not legal advice. I would seek professional help. Okay, seek professional help from an accountant or tax professional. Okay, so let's have a look at taxes and legalities. Now, I would recommend getting an ABN. Again, this isn't legal advice, but I'd recommend getting an ABN in the beginning. Just under a sole trader is fine. GST registration, I get asked about that a lot. It's not required to businesses making over $75,000 annually. Okay, again, if you have, depending on your income level and depending if you have a business already, an ABN already and whatnot, maybe you're an Uber driver or you do DoorDash or Uber Eats, that's going to come into play. So that's why it's always like if you have an income already, you don't have a job, whatnot. Everyone's situation is different. I'd get in touch with an accountant or tax professional because everyone's going to be different, right? But what I did was I got an ABN first. I didn't worry about GST. Even when I got an accountant, he said, don't worry about GST until you make $75,000 annually. But again, everyone's situation is different. Business bank account is not required in the very beginning, but I would recommend it because you're just separating your income and expenses for the business. I would just get a business bank account. Just get one from your bank that has no fees. Just get a really, really simple business bank account. In my opinion, just makes things easier. Okay, income tax will be very different for everyone, like I've been saying. And again, seek professional advice. That's the main thing. So, like I said, just get in contact with someone who knows about tax professional, or hire an accountant. Easiest thing to do. Just make it easy for yourself so you don't get in trouble with taxes or you don't miss anything. It's really, in my opinion, what I honestly want to say is don't even worry about all this stuff. Just get started. Okay. A lot of people, they want to make sure they have a business bank account, they want to make sure they have an ABN, they want to make sure they're registered for GST, and they have all this stuff sorted out, but then they don't even start selling. Okay, they don't even know what product they're going to sell, and you got to make sure that you get everything set up. And in my opinion, it doesn't really matter. You just sort out that stuff later on. Just make sure you get the business up and rolling first, because there's no point in having all these fees and having all these, legal documents and stuff sorted out if you don't even have the business up and running. So that's just my personal opinion. If I was to start over again, well, that's basically what I did. I think I got an ABN before anything else, and then I didn't use it until later on because I was doing different stuff before Amazon selling, and I didn't even worry about the legal stuff. I just went up and did it, and it all worked out fine. Okay, you're not going to get in trouble. The only thing you get in trouble for really is not paying your taxes, right? And that stuff gets sorted out later on. If you get an accountant or a tax professional, that stuff works itself out. You're just going to make sure that you have someone to guide you with it, okay? Like I said, that's my personal experience, not legal advice, okay? So let's look at import duties and custom taxes really quickly, okay? So when you're looking at importing a product into an Amazon Australia warehouse, if you're looking to import a product into Australia from overseas, you've got to look at this stuff. So 5% import duty is calculated on top of cost of good, okay? 10% GST is calculated on top of your order total. Okay, so your supplier will quote you in USD, usually. If we are getting quotes from Alibaba, which is a Chinese supplier, they always do USD. Make sure to convert it to AUD, or make sure you click on AUD on their website before you start calculating taxes, okay? Because obviously there's a conversion. There'll be a conversion from USD. So let's have a look at an example. Let's say your order costs $500. You add 5% for import duty. So $25 of that. That's $525. Then your shipping cost is $94. So $619. So you've got the order cost, the actual product cost, then the import duty, $25. Okay, that's just for the product cost. You don't include the shipping cost in that. Then you put the shipping cost on top. So your total is $619. Your total order is $619. You add the 10% on top of the total order. So the total order, 10%, add 10% on top of your total, you're at $680.19 AUD. So that's how you sort of calculate it all very, very quickly, just to give you an idea of what it's going to cost to get it into Australia. So you might think that it costs, $594, but then you add all the taxes on and you've got a lot more, right? So first off, let's look at product research. So this is the main thing. This is where we get into the actual finding products and whatnot, okay? So here's a criteria for selling, for a high selling product, right? So first off, you want to make sure it's high quality. Don't sell crappy quality bracelets, necklaces, and things like that. Make sure the product is actually high quality. Make sure that it solves a problem. Now, the rule that I go by all the time is if you can't find a product that solves a problem, you don't know what problem you want to solve, start with your own problems. Start with products that will solve your own little problems. They don't have to be big problems, it can be little ones. One of the products that I drop shipped really successfully back in 2019, 2020 was a dental teeth plaque scaler. Drop shipped that to like 18,000 in revenue a month, right? Again, I know we're not talking about drop shipping, but this is just products. So the same thing applies to finding products for Amazon. That was one product. I also did a fitness band, resistance band fitness set, right? Because I was looking for a product to use during COVID. There were no gyms open. I needed a home fitness product. I got it and I thought, well, maybe I could sell this myself. I found a product that solved a problem for myself, because if you find a product that solves a problem for yourself, more than likely it'll solve a problem for a lot of other people out there. So make sure that your product solves a problem, because that's how you know it's in demand, okay? Again, make sure it can't be found in most standard retailers. So you don't want to sell stuff that you can find in Kohl's or Woolies or Kmart. Maybe you can find similar products or a better quality version of that product that's found in those places, but don't try and sell the exact same things, because people know that you can buy them from those places. Make sure that it's sort of more of an online only kind of product. And bonus, you can build a brand around it. So I'm going to show you an example of what I mean by this, okay? Because brand is very popular, especially on Amazon. Amazon rewards brands on, that sell on their platform, okay? They like brands more than generic brands and generic products. So I'll give you an instance of something that could potentially work really well on Amazon, right? So here's an example. We got laundry sheets. So it's small and light, but it's a product that solves a problem. So these laundry sheets actually replace, and I found this brand on TikTok of all places. These laundry sheets take out the need of laundry detergent. and they're a lot more eco-friendly. They're actually cheaper. Okay, or in total, they're actually cheaper. It says $81, but that's for a 3-pack, so 240 washes. Okay, which you barely get that from a $30, $40 thing of detergent. But so not only is it a product that solves a problem, it's also heavily branded. Lucent Globe. Okay, this kind of thing would potentially do really well on Amazon because it's a product that solves a problem and it's high quality. Okay, this stuff is really, really good. So just keep in mind these are the kinds of things you need to be looking at with your product. Are they high quality? Do they solve a problem? Okay, can you get them in store anywhere? Kmart, Target, all those places as well. And can you brand around it? They're the main things. Okay, so one thing to note: bad products will not sell. Okay, got the little guy here. He's losing all his money. He's losing all his money because he tried to sell crappy necklaces, crappy bracelets, and these terrible print-on-demand T-shirts and things that he didn't have to put too much time into, and he thought that they'd just fly off the Amazon shelves. Doesn't work like that. You need to create, well, you don't even have to create it. You need to find a product that really is good quality. It's like a product that you would use yourself. All the products that I've sold really well, most of them I would use myself. Okay, so just put yourself in the shoes, in the customer's shoes, and if it's a good quality product, solves a problem, you're on the right way. Okay, you're on the right path to enlightenment. Okay, so here's looking at how to actually find products, looking at product research software for Helium-10, and I'll show you more of an in-depth video of how to actually use it. Okay, so Helium-10 is obviously product research software. You can use it for the US, but you can also use it for Amazon AU and a lot of other different markets, right? So Helium-10 is what myself and the sellers use in Ecom Educate, right? All the students use. It's very, very accurate. So it shows the most accurate sales data. Okay, so that's the first big plus for that. It's used to find the most popular and in-demand products. It's used by successful sellers in Ecom Educate, and it's for beginner and more experienced sellers. So the links are going to be in the description for that, but I'm just quickly going to show you how to actually use this piece of software because it's very, very helpful. Now, I'm going to show you a bit more of an in-depth view as to how we use Helium-10, or how myself and students of Ecom Excellence use Helium-10, and a lot of other sellers, mind you, to find top selling products to sell on Amazon here in Australia or on the US or whichever market you wish to sell in. So I'm going to show you the simple method of doing it just for the purposes of this video. Now in Ecom Educate, in the Ecom Educate Amazon FBA course, we do go more in depth with the advanced tool here, which we go more into numbers and how to actually narrow down those sales numbers. But you can find products in the simple version of this tool that we're using, the Helium-10. So Helium-10, again, the link is down in the description below if you do want to use this piece of software. Usually they have a lot of free trials as well, but you will get a discount to using Helium-10 if you go through the link down in the description below. Now, just to be completely transparent with you, yes, it is an affiliate link. The only reason I have the affiliate link there is because I thought, why not offer a discount to you guys as well? Because you only get the discount using the affiliate link, and as well, I use the software myself, and I only ever promote software. I only ever bother with affiliate links if I use the actual software myself, and this is what is solely used for the Amazon sellers that I teach, and myself included. Okay, so basically how to use this, and the tool that I have here, basically you create a login, and when you come onto the dashboard here, the home screen, you're going to be using a tool called Blackbox, and this is if you want to follow along with this, you can. But tools as well. The way to get there is you just click the Tools tab, and I click on Black Box here. There's a lot more tools that you can use, and we go through a few of these as well in the course, not just a Black Box, but for this video, we'll be using Black Box, and this is more so just a product finder tool. So what we want to do when we click on the Simple tab here is it basically shows you the products that you answer the questions to, which is really, really simple. So you want to make sure if you're looking at the Amazon Australia market, again, you've got all the markets here. Okay, if you want to look in the US, you can do .com. We're going to be doing .com.au because we want to look at the Aussie marketplace. You want to look in categories. So again, some of the categories that we're going to be looking at here are baby, beauty. We've got electronics is a good one as well. Health, household, and personal care. You can do home and home improvement as well. So we'll just do all of these here, kitchen and dining. And you can change this up as you like. Okay, we've got pet supplies as well. Sports, fitness, and outdoors is a good one too. So we'll keep that there for the categories. And we want to find products in these categories that need, we'll say, some improvement, okay? Because we want to find products that are doing well, but they can improve a little bit. Maybe there's products that have a few bad reviews and we can sort of capitalize on that, right? Because that's what we want to look at doing, not just finding products that solve a problem, are high quality, but finding products, maybe a particular niche even, where we can add some kind of benefit to it. Maybe we can improve the products in some parts, maybe even if it's tweaking a little bit. Maybe we can add products in a bundle and improve the whole overall experience of the product itself, right? So that's what we're looking at. So we want to look at competition that is high. Okay, so we can do medium to high. I wouldn't really do low, but maybe we'll just click medium and we'll see what comes up, right? Because we don't want to do low competition because sometimes it's hard to find the sales volume in low. You can try it out, but we'll just click medium for now. I want to sell my product in, I like the $30 to $100 range, especially if you're a beginner. I like that range as well. With a monthly revenue of, we'll do 1,000 to 10,000 because 0 to 1,000 is a bit too low, and 10,000 plus, you're only looking at that if you're looking at, say, a startup sort of budget of 5 to 10,000, right? So if you're looking at, it's going to be hard for you to, say, put in $1,000 and turn over 10,000 plus with your first order. It's just hard to do that. You're going to need a product with huge margins. So we're looking at the 1,000 to 10,000 range if you're looking at sort of like a basic startup cost, which what we've explained earlier, right? So we'll click search and we'll see what comes up. And again, like, one thing to note here is that, it can be pretty daunting when you're first starting, looking at all these you've got different titles here, you've got different photos, different numbers, you don't know what these products are. When I first started, I had no idea what I was looking at. When I first started, Helium 10 wasn't really around. I was using Jungle Scout at the time. There was no software for Amazon Australia because Amazon Australia didn't even really launch back then. When I was first starting, it didn't launch until sometime after when I started. But it was a similar thing. I was looking at this stuff. I was looking at BSR, the bestseller rating, all this stuff here. And it was overwhelming when I first started. So just to really simplify it for you guys, if this is your first time looking at it, you don't really know what you're looking at. Here's some things to know. Just keep in mind that in the beginning, don't sort of hyper focus on the numbers and get too worried about what's this number here, bestseller rating, is the price point good, is the profit good. When you're very first starting, the main thing is, looking at what makes a good product. So solving a problem for people, okay? If it has enough demand, that's a good thing as well. But it's more so solving a product that solves a problem, and, is it good quality? Okay, that's the main thing. And obviously you can find good quality products from your suppliers and whatnot, but the main thing I want to mention here is just focus on whether the product solves a problem and it's good quality, okay? And then you can look at, all right, this version, does it have enough profit? Is it a good price point? Is there enough demand? You can look at that stuff later, and that comes with experience as well. You're not going to just, find a product within your first 5-10 minutes, right? Just to sort of put it into perspective for you, when I found my first product that I sold in the US, it was a Bengal flask that I ended up selling. I made $3,000 to $4,000. Profit was like $2,500 to $3,000, right? That I found. First product ever sold in the US back in, it was like 2016, 2017. That took me like 2 months to find. I was searching for so long, and it was daunting because I'd come back, I'd search, I'd come back and search, and then I'd be daunted because I'd be looking at 200 products at a time, and I just had no idea. Eventually I ended up finding a product and it worked out, but it took me 2 months, okay? A lot of sellers that are in my program, they take like maybe a couple of weeks, okay? They might take, maybe some of them might take a bit longer, but it's, it just goes to show that I'm not special in any way. It took me so long. And even these days, it still gets daunting, right? To look at these products. So, it's one thing to note. So with this, we're looking at products that, and again, one thing I would suggest is maybe look at products that are a little bit smaller. Sort of the thing that I was taught when I first started selling was maybe try and look at products that sort of fit in a shoebox, just because that's going to be a lot cheaper for you to ship if you're shipping it from China, from Alibaba. So one thing to note. Stuff like this is pretty good to look at because you're looking at sort of portable bathtubs. You're looking at things that maybe have some utility to it but are smaller. But you don't have to be restricted. All we're looking at here are products that could possibly solve a problem. Okay, so maybe this one here, portable bathtub, we're looking at, all right, what's the price range? Okay, price range is $85. Monthly sales, they're only getting 30 sales a month, but the revenue is 2,500. Okay, so we can look at something like this, right? And this is sort of, I'm not going to go too in depth with it because it's a lot of information, especially if you're a beginner. But this is sort of my thought process. I look at, okay, do I want to sell something like this? And what would be the benefit of selling something like this? Okay, obviously, it is a product that can be packaged really small, so it's not going to come in the box like that. It'll be packaged. It'll most likely have plastic tubes, and the actual outside of it will be folded up, so it'll ship in a smaller thing. Okay, so it won't cost as much to source, so that's a good thing as well. But we can open this up in a new tab as well, and we can have a bit more of a look into how good this product is. So portable bathtub, and again, this is just a product I found right now filming this video, right? If you want to save this, you can add it to your list. Okay, and you can find your list in your profile here in Helium 10. But we want to look at, okay, the revenue. Maybe we want to look at, okay, is it going to be worth selling this product? Overall, we'll look at the competition as well. So if you wanted to do something like that for this product, you could just say, okay, portable bathtub. So what we want to do is go to all departments. So I've typed in the main keyword here into Amazon. I've made sure to go into choose all, because we want to search in all categories, okay? Because we want to get the broadest net possible, and this is the most likely scenario when people search for a product, it's going to be on all categories, okay? So we've typed in the smallest keyword because when people search for a product, you want to sort of put yourself in the perspective of the customer, the shoes of the customer. They're just going to type in portable bathtub, right? So you want to get, when you look at these listings here, you're not going to type in portable bathtub, foldable soaking bath, whatever, to look up this product, okay? You want to type in the most likely keyword that they're going to put in to find this product. And that, in my opinion, is portable bathtub. Okay, so you put that in. So what we're going to do is sort of look at the numbers for this particular keyword. So all you want to do from here is, once you've typed it in, you can go to the Helium 10 Chrome extension, which you can download for free. But again, you're going to need a subscription to pull up, be able to pull up all the sales data. So when we click on this, we want to click on X-ray. And that will show a complete X-ray of all the sales data that we're looking at. So one thing we're looking at here, I wouldn't always pay attention to total revenue, average revenue, things like that. Yes, they do come into play. But what I would do is look at things like search volume. So this is quite low search volume. Usually a good search volume, like an ideal search volume, is anywhere from like 2,000 to 3,000 per month. This is like the search volume on Amazon per month. The amount that people are searching for this particular keyword. Now, this is growing because I know portable bathtub is growing, and a lot of people use these things for ice baths as well. So I know a little bit about this product, which is lucky. But one thing I want to mention here is, okay, we want to look at sales, and we can sort of filter through the top to bottom sales and see which one's selling the most, see what their price point is, see their revenue, okay? And then we want to look at whether it's viable. So what we're looking at here, what are the top listings, how much they're selling for, the revenue, how many units they're selling. So they're selling 54 units per month at a price point of $40. And we're looking at all the different designs. And what you want to sort of look at, okay, are there any sellers that are just dominating this particular niche? So we see we've got Wikidia, I think that's what it's called, Total Rel, we've got Calixu as well. There's a bunch of different sellers. So this is a bit of a better situation. What you don't want is, let's just say, this Calixu brand only being here, because that means that one brand is dominating the entire thing. That's like if you were trying to sell wireless headphones or wireless earphones and your direct competitor was Apple, right? You're not really going to compete against a single brand or a couple of big brands. If they're not known brands, these are just more your generic brands, just brands that people have made up, right? People just like you and me are trying to do, right? So if you've got brands like that, that's a better indication. But you want to look at, okay, how many sales are each of these brands making? And you just want to make sure that, again, there's not too many brands dominating the space, or there's not just one or two brands dominating the entire space. These sales are shared over a few brands. So that means you do have a bit more leeway to come in and really look at whether you can sort of fit into the market here. But with this particular product, I don't really like the search volume. It's a bit too low. The revenue on these are, yes, they're not bad. Okay, so this is something you could potentially look at getting into. You could probably look at Google Trends with these kinds of products as well. Type in portable bathtub as well. You could probably type in portable ice bath as well, and look at Google Trends and see how these keywords are faring on Google as well. That'll give you a good indication. But again, this all comes down to what you can compete with. Can you compete with this kind of revenue with your startup budget? That's another important thing to note as well. So this is how I would go about searching for these products. And again, the main thing is utility. Is it solving a problem? I know these people use, or a lot of people that buy these things use them for ice baths. Okay, so that's something you can look at as well. And you're really looking at, is it solving a problem and are they high quality? Go into their listings, okay, like what we've done before. So when we went back here, look at the ratings, see what people are saying about it. Obviously, this is only 3.7 out of 5 stars. There's got to be a reason for that. Okay, the listing here is terrible in my opinion. You could upgrade the listing a hell of a lot more than this. But that's just one way to sort of look for products, is using the black box, right? So that's one thing you can do. Again, try and look for maybe smaller products as a beginner and look at niches that you like. If you have no idea what niche you want to get into, just start with something maybe you know a little bit more about. Maybe that's fitness, maybe that's pets, maybe it's beauty. Okay, have a look at these kinds of products and just make sure that there's not so many sellers there that are taking that big part of the pie, the sales pie, that you won't be able to fit in. Okay, if there's 1 or 2 sellers that have the majority of sales and the rest of them have nothing, it's probably not good indication. If it's a product like what we just looked at, the bathtub, where it's sort of spread evenly across, that means that there's room for you to come in, because people don't look at these brands, these products, and think, okay, this is the seller to go for. Okay, you're not going to try and compete with Apple and think, oh, I've got a better product, it's cheaper. People don't care. They're going to spend the money on the brand that they know. So that's why branding is a big thing as well. But you want to look at these niches and see what the sellers are getting up to, and see how the sales are. You know, if they're diversified, you've got a better chance at competing with these brands and with these sellers, right? So that's one way you can get into product research, is using Helium 10. We'll be using Helium 10 as well for this next one. This is just another way that you can get into it. So this, another way to find products that's really, really cool is you can use Amazon themselves. So what you can actually do is go into Google and you can type in Amazon AU, or if you're in the US, you can do Amazon.com, new release bestsellers, and you want to look at the hot new releases. So what this does is this shows new products that are sort of going straight to the top of the charts, right? And you want to make sure that you're in hot new releases. You can look at bestsellers, but usually bestsellers, they've been there for quite a while. A lot of the time, they're usually big brands as well. But let's say we got a hot new releases and we wanted to go to, maybe we look at pet supplies. We can see what's in pet supplies, right? You want to look at stuff like this. So you want to look at products that have sort of a bit of a higher price point. So dog car boot covers as well. That's a really good one. Maybe this here, we got the cat tree. You want to look at products that can possibly sell year round. So maybe not stuff like this with the knitted sweaters, because they'll only sell in winter. So these are just things you need to think about. You want to think about, okay, do I want to sell year-round items? Do I want to sell seasonal items? A lot of people sell seasonal items. They get in Halloween and they get in Christmas and they sell those kinds of things, right? But for beginners, I like the idea of selling an item that can be sold year-round, because you don't have to worry about getting the inventory in just for those periods of time and switching the products around. You just have one product there that you can grow year-round, right? That's what I like. You can look at stuff like this as well. Dog water bowl, slow water feeder. So those things are pretty cool as well. I wouldn't sell stuff like this. A barking collar. Okay, I'd steer away from things like that. Things like this, they're not a bad idea, but you look at the price point. Okay, this is just my thought process. You look at the price point, it's a bit too low. Okay, unless you're sourcing this for like 80 cents, right? You factor in shipping, you factor in the seller fees, you're left with pretty much nothing. That's why I like the higher price point items as well. Heated dog bed, not bad as well. Might be a seasonal item because they might only be for winter. These are not a bad idea. Dog pee pads, maybe you could do something with them as well. But again, let's just say if we wanted to check a car boot cover for dogs, okay, we could do this, check it out, and we could just see what this particular seller is doing, and then we could even look at the niche as a whole, okay? So we go X-ray, and we have a look at this data here. So if you see something like this, right? If you see sales data NA, that means that there's not enough data for Helium 10 to show you anything. So it either means that they've not sold enough, or they haven't been selling for long enough. Okay, so don't worry about that. What we can do is we can still check out the entire niche. We could say dog car boot cover. Okay, we go to all departments, dog boot car cover. We could just say dog car cover. right? Do that because that's what people most likely search for. So again, we've got a lot more coming up now. These are all sponsored listings, so people who are advertising. But let's say we want to look at the sales data for these. What can we do? We can go to the Helium-10 and we'll wait for this to pop up so we can click it. There we go, X-ray. Move this over here. So we've got search volume, NA, which is surprising to me for dog car cover. But again, you can look at other softwares, Google Trends as well, to look at how much search volume, because it is a good indication as to how in demand this product is. Again, we can filter through the sales as well, see how much is selling, revenue 2,000. We can also do a car cover for dogs, like play around with the different keywords and find out sort of what the most popular keyword is for this, because we might just not be looking at the right keyword for this particular thing. Dog, see, we've got dog car seat cover. So if we looked at dog car seat cover, instead of dog car cover, car seat cover, we'll see what comes up with this. Maybe it's different, okay? Dog car seat cover. We go back to Helium-10, wait for this to show up. We might actually get a different result, all right? So we might actually get a different search volume. Okay, so if we show the X-ray of this, or the product data, still comes up. So there we go. So we've actually got search volume there. So it might just come down to, because Amazon's all about ranking for certain keywords and ranking for the most sort of popular keyword that you can. And it's a lot of it's about, obviously the main thing is finding a good product, but it's also about making sure your listing looks good, and SEO, so search engine optimization. So things like ranking for keywords and making sure that people can search for you for different keywords and things like that, right? Again, we can filter through these, look at the sales, and again, we want to look at, okay, so there's 1 brand, 2 brands, 3 brands, 4 brands, 5 brands. So they're diversified. The main sellers are these 3 here, right? Maybe you can look at these sellers. What are they doing different? Why are they so popular? Have they been, on Amazon longest? Have they got a better price? Have they got a better product? Look at these things, right? But that's how I would look at. There are a couple of ways to look at products, and Helium-10 is a great thing to get into. It's a great software in my opinion, because these are very accurate numbers. And one reason we know this is because a lot of sellers in Ecom Educate, they actually compare these numbers to their own sales numbers that they actually see on their seller dashboard, and they're very, very similar. Like the closest that you can get for Amazon Australia, at least anyway. The programs or the software that we use in the past have just been so inaccurate. Helium-10 is a savior, in my opinion. So I definitely recommend it, especially for the US as well, or other markets if you're looking to sell them. But Helium-10 is a great, great tool because it looks at the potential. And you look at this and you think, okay, imagine if you could sell this. Imagine if you could make this much each month. If you're looking at revenue, okay, conservative number, maybe you make 30%. A lot of sellers are up at like 40% profit, right? But imagine if you made 30% of this each month, in your first month, right? That's a good piece of pocket change. And then you can grow that maybe with one product, maybe with a couple of products, maybe with a few products. Okay. I have most students that grow to those sort of 20 to 50 or 20 to 40K months even. They have multiple products. They've got like 7 or 8 different products, and they grow that over time, right? And the sellers that I've got an interview with one of my students, they make 100K a year, 130K a year in sales on the Aussie market. They have about 7 or 8 different products, and they grew that. They have 1 to 2 really good sellers that are on autopilot. Then they grow, the other 3, 4, 5 products are in the growth stage, and then there's others that they're just starting. And that's how you do it. You reinvest. It's easier, in my opinion, to have multiple of these, okay? So you could have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5 different products. You get to 10K a month, right? Then have one product that gets to 10K a month. It's easier to have 5 products that are doing 2K a month each. In my opinion, it's easier to grow that and have them steady income, right? So that's what just my thought process on that. That's how to find products. That is how to use Helium-10. There's a lot of different ways to use it. There's a lot of different keyword tools to use in Helium-10 as well, which will really help. Keywords are a very, very important thing when it comes to selling on Amazon, but that's a bit more of an overview, in-depth look on using Helium-10, how to find top-selling products. Here's some recommended selling categories for beginners. This is what I would recommend you get into, okay, as a complete beginner. Baby niche, beauty niche, electronics, fitness, home and garden, pet supplies, tool, home improvement. Okay, we'll go back to that because I went a bit too quick. So these are just the niches, the categories that I get into, because it's a little bit easier. They have products that aren't really harmful or products that you need much verification to start selling in, because there's a lot of categories on Amazon that are blocked, okay, and you need to fill out forms and provide proof with documents and things like that to be able to sell in it, because there's, you know, harmful products out there, potentially products with batteries, products that, you know, you can't really sell things like groceries and particular jewelry and things like that. Well, you can, but it takes a little bit more work. These are more so the recommended categories just as a beginner, stuff that you can sell, you know, products in that won't really give you, you know, too much trouble, at least to get started. And usually they're quite easy to get into. Okay, so let's look at the product research criteria. This is very, very important. This is sort of a brief overview. Again, we go more in depth with it in Ecom Educate, this criteria, but this is sort of a brief overview of what I would look at when looking at finding a product, a, you know, high selling product. This is the criteria that I'd look at. So 300 reviews or less for 2 to 5 sellers. If you can get way under 300 reviews, even better. You want to make sure at least 2 to 5 sellers don't have over 300 reviews, because you don't want to play with, you know, try and compete with the super big sellers, right? And reviews are a good way to see if they're a really popular seller. You also want to look at 2 to 5 sellers of that product or niche. So make sure that there's at least 2 to 5 sellers that are doing quite well with the sales. And I would say with sales, no less than 100 units sold a month or 1,000 revenue per month on the very low end. However, this depends on your selling goals. So like I said, if you've got $1,000 to put into this, then you're looking at products or 2 to 5 sellers with lower revenue. If you've got 5,000 to put into this business in your first order, you can look at sellers with higher sales, because you can actually compete with them. Because if someone's selling 100 units a month and you only have enough money to put in for 20 units, how are you going to compete with them? You'll start your sales velocity, and then you know, by the time you hit those 20 sales, you're already out. You're already sold out, and then that hurts your ranking. It hurts your ranking really bad when you sell out of your product, and then all that hard work, all that sales momentum to get yourself up to the top of the first page, it's basically gone, because you're going to start ranking lower and lower and lower. So you got to really see what your goals are. You have to really see what your goals are and see who you can compete with, right? And then I'd also say no less than $20 sell price. Ideally, it's $25 to $75. I like that price range, because if you go under 25, right, it gets harder and harder with, you know, shipping costs, product costs, and leaving enough margin to advertise as well. It gets too hard to make, you know, profit that's actually worthwhile, even any profit at all, if you go under that price point. So that's why I like $25 to $75. Okay. So here's one thing to note. Don't get impatient. Okay, with Amazon, don't get impatient. Make a list of potential products and then narrow down. Like I said, it took me 2 months to find my first product, and that, in my opinion, is very, very slow. But at the same time, there's been other sellers, other students that have taken those 1 to 2 months, and that is completely fine. Everyone goes at their own pace, right? And a lot of people sort of get tunnel vision, and they sort of get stuck at this point because they overthink it. All right, so don't overthink it. Just narrow down your list and see what would actually work. Reach out to people like myself and other sellers to maybe get a second opinion. Maybe they spot things that you might not see, and it really, really helps. Okay, so just keep it simple. Find products that you like to look at. Look at the sales data. Narrow it down and go from there. Look over those. Don't look at too many products at once. Don't overwhelm yourself. Keep it simple. Okay. So here's one thing that's super important. Brands win in the e-commerce space. Okay. So we're looking at, bang, your brand. Okay. So what do I mean by this? Brands win in the e-com space. Okay. You want to look at something like this. Think of building your brand in the same way as the hoodie. If you don't know what the hoodie is, it's the wearable blanket. Very, very, very popular, especially here in Australia. The founder is Australian, Davey Fogarty. He built it to this massive, massive brand. It's like multiple $100 million brand, right? And I think he stepped down as a CEO now. But one thing I want to talk about here is just the way that they branded it, and how you can look at this for inspiration, because brand is massive on Amazon. The way to really kill it on Amazon is brand. Okay, so this is what I want you to look at. When you think you're building your brand in the same way as the hoodie, obviously you don't have to build a $100 million brand or multiple $100 million brand, but you want to look at what the hoodie does well. They're quality focused, customer focused, products always changing and improving. started with something basic and grew slowly. So I remember when Davey was talking about on his YouTube channel, he started with 2 basic colors. He started with, I think, a blue and a gray hoodie. And it was just a simple improvement of a product that was already out there, a wearable blanket. He just improved a little bit. He started with 2 colors and he grew from there. That's all he did. And he focused on quality, he focused on customer experience. Okay, and that's how he grew. That's how the hoodie has been so well received, because he's focused on quality and focused on a product that solves a particular problem. Okay, and that's one thing to get out of here, is that brand, get out of this is brand is huge, especially on Amazon. Okay, so how can you start a brand? Now, what we're going to look at here is how to actually begin a brand and just make something like a basic logo, and how you can actually begin to sort of look at, okay, what can I do in terms of brand name, in terms of logo? We're going to look at how to build a logo for free as well, but then we'll look at some paid options as well, because brand is very, very important. Now, one important part of the branding process is going to be creating a logo. And I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. One's the free method and one's the paid method. Okay, so we, of course, are going to be aiming to sell our French press coffee maker. And without talking about the trademarking process, right, we're not going to cover in this video, like I said, but sending your logo over to your supplier so you can put it on your product is a very, very strong way to brand your product, especially in the beginning. And I think it is one of the most integral parts to branding the process as a whole, especially when beginning to sell on Amazon using FBA. So the free process, or the free method, is actually using an online picture editor called Canva. And I use this for a lot of things. I use this for doing my YouTube thumbnails. I use this for doing my own little logos and things like that. So I've actually got Canva here on the page. Now I'm going to show you a very easy example of this, and I just use one of the templates here, and I downloaded a PNG image of a coffee cup. So let's just say our brand name is going to be Coffee Hero. Okay, I always use this for my examples, and you could just say something here like, I'm not going to change anything to this apart from the little leaf image here, right, and the words. So you could say something like deliciously fresh, or you could say like, you just say that. I'm just going to keep it like that. Okay, delete this, and I'm going to go ahead and move in my coffee cup here. There we go. And you could say something like really simple as that, or if you wanted it to be bigger, you go ahead and do that, and we could just go ahead and move these, do it bigger. There we go. And if you wanted to, you could just make this white, background white, just so when you give it to your supplier, make this a little bit smaller, move that in the middle. There we go. So let's just say we like the look of that, right? Make sure these are in the middle. Let's say we like the look of that. Now you can actually just go ahead and download it. And you can download the PNG with the transparent background. Go ahead and download that. You can give that to your supplier. So that could be one way. Let's put it this way. Your logo doesn't have to be anything like extravagant, right? Don't spend too much time on your logo, in my opinion. Do something that's simple, hits home, and something you can paste on your product, right? I just did this up in like 30 seconds to a minute, right? So you could do that. You can spend some time on it, maybe spend like 10, 15 minutes on it if you like, half an hour really if you want to. Otherwise, if you really don't know how to do it, if you're not tech savvy, then you can go ahead and do the paid version, and you can go to Fiverr, right? Fiverr I've used countless amount of times and it works fine for me. And let's just say we want to do a logo. We could just say brand logo, type it in, and these are going to search for freelancers who actually do these paid services for you. So you've got here, okay, minimalist, modern minimalist luxury logo. You could do that. You could do very, very simple logos. There's actually ones that, these are like really, really expensive compared to, like, I'm looking at more like this, $22. Do a simple exclusive streetwear brand or something like this. Create a brand and unique logo design. We'll go with that, right? You just want to make sure when you're looking at this, they have high reviews. This guy's got 5 orders in queue, so people are using him. You could do the basic one. 2 high quality logo concepts. You could do the standard, which gives you the actual vector files. You could just do this. This should be fine. You just need the JPEG. And then the only thing to do here with Fiverr is just hit continue. And you have to pay first, right? So basically you've got here, okay, extra fast 1-day delivery. One thing to note is you got to look at the delivery time as well. So 2 days delivery, which is pretty quick. So we go ahead and hit continue, and then you go ahead and pay for it. And then after you pay for it, it will say submit requirements here, right? And then you just got to tell this freelancer what you want, right? So you just got to say, okay, if you wanted it similar to this, you say, okay, my brand name's Coffee Hero. I want a logo done of like a coffee cup on one of these little saucepan plates here with some steam coming out of it. You can give him some reference images if you want, and he can do something up for you, right? Otherwise, it should be fine to just do this. You just need something that you can give your supplier to put on your product, right? And obviously you want to make it something that you enjoy, because it's going to be a brand that you're growing. So you want to make it something that you like. Okay, but apart from that, they're the two options that I would give. And I would definitely look at getting a brand done up, getting a logo done up, sorry, that is something that you're looking to keep in the long term. But that is basically it. That's the one paid, the one free way to do a logo, and the one paid version to do a logo that I would recommend. Now, something else important is that trademarking is something you'll need to consider after launching your product. Okay, so don't worry about it straight away, but trademarking is becoming more and more important on Amazon. I'm getting a lot more students, a lot more sellers talking about how trademark is very important. They get their trademarks done. So let's say if you have like a logo or a brand name, especially a logo, if you want it trademarked, or your particular brand name you want to use, if you get it trademarked, that means that it's yours. Okay, and trademarks take some time to get approved. They usually take a minimum of like 6 to 7 months to get approved. So it's not something you need to do straight away, but it's going to help with really solidifying your brand. And once you know the brand that you want to use, once you know the product that you want to sell, I would get the trademarking process done as soon as you can, because I think it's very, very important, especially for Amazon selling. And also, if you have a trademark here in Australia, it opens you up and allows you to do a lot more things on Amazon, because you can actually register your brand on Amazon. Because really, in order to register your brand, you need an actual legal trademark to do so. So it's something that I would definitely recommend, because it puts you above, will put you ahead of the herd of Amazon sellers. For people who don't want to go that extra mile, even though it's really not that much extra work to get a trademark, if you go that extra step, it really pays dividends in the future of your Amazon business. So I definitely recommend looking into it. Okay, so let's have a look at contacting suppliers. Okay, we use Alibaba. Alibaba's a big directory of Chinese suppliers, mostly Chinese suppliers. Millions of products available, safe and reliable, and suppliers are easy to communicate with. So we'll have a look at how to really, contact suppliers, how you'd go about it, and what suppliers to look out for when you're looking at the products that you want to sell, because you want to get the best deal. You want to deal with a supplier that is reputable, and you want to know how to actually find the actual good suppliers. Next thing we want to look at is actually sourcing the product, okay, and talking to suppliers, which may seem daunting at first, and there are some sort of, learning curves that come along with it, but it's relatively simple, right? So I myself, and again, students in Ecom Excellence, and majority of people, especially starting to sell on Amazon, use Alibaba, right? It's a massive selection of products that are filled with Chinese suppliers, right? And it is cheaper to source, and there's like I said, again, a massive product selection. So let's say we actually decided to sell that French press coffee maker, right? So one thing to note, you need an account to be able to contact suppliers, right? So once you've got an account, you can start searching for products, and we'll go ahead and type in French press coffee maker. Here we go. Go ahead and hit search, okay? So we're just looking for potential designs. One thing to note, well, I'll tell you a few things to note when we're looking at things other than price, right? So let's say we're looking at a stainless steel one, okay? And one thing to note is the delivery time as well. You don't want it to be too far into the future, okay? But you can also, you can always ask your supplier that when we contact them. But again, that is something that you can talk to your supplier about. So one thing we want to make sure of is the supply types. You want to make sure that they are verified, or at least if you can, make sure that they're verified, make sure that they've got some reviews, make sure that they've been in business for, I would say, at least a year, right? And you can check things like their transaction rate, their transaction history. So all of this is just making sure that you're dealing with a supplier who is reputable and who is obviously going to deliver on what they promise. Okay, I've never personally been scammed on Alibaba because usually I have to go through a verification process to be on here, but it's always good to just make sure of. Another thing that you want to make sure of is looking at what the supplier's minimum order is. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click these two, make sure that they're showing these two here. Okay, and the minimum order, let's say you wanted to do 100 or less. Go ahead and do minimum order 100. And there we go. So let's say we wanted to look at something like this. Coffee French press maker. What's the price? 82. And these are all going to be in USD. They're always in USD. Okay. Let's say we wanted to look at something like this. Very, very simple. They're verified 5 years. They've got good reviews. And that's great customer service. There we go. So they look quite good. It says the shipping is... It says they're ready to ship, but it says the shipping is not going to be available until March, but that could potentially be to the US. So let's just say we wanted to get in contact with them. Okay, we go ahead and click contact supplier, and you say product attributes. So this is where you want to ask them about a quote. Okay, because you want to get in contact, like I said, with at least 3 to 5 different suppliers. And this is a good way to start. So let's say we wanted to get 100 of them. Okay, material, you could do, it doesn't have here, you could even leave this as none, but let's say we want to do metal, stock sustainable. If you're not sure, just do none, right? And you can type it in here. So let's say, for instance, you could type in something like this. You want to keep it very simple. You say, hello, my name is Jack Perotta. I run an online store selling coffee products. Just keep it very simple, selling coffee products. Or you could say, I run an online store and would like to add your French press coffee maker to my catalog. You say, can you please supply me with the following? You could say cost of 100 units with logo printed. Now some of these suppliers might say, one thing to note, they might say that they have a minimum order quantity for logos. So they might say 100 pieces for minimum order, but it might be 500 pieces or units minimum order with logo. So you can negotiate with these suppliers a lot of the time, just so you know, because at the end of the day, they want you to buy their product, right? But sometimes they may have minimum orders depending on what their preferences are, depending on how much it costs them. So it's something to keep in note. A lot of the time you will at least find a couple of suppliers who will do an order like this, even like a smaller order with units. So it's always good to ask, and it's always good to try and negotiate with them as well. They might put up the cost if, say, their minimum order is 500 with a logo, but if you want to do 100, they might up the unit price. These are just things to know, okay? But we want to ask anyway, cost of 100 units with logo printed, price, cost of shipping via air or sea to Amazon Australia warehouse. There we go. And if they ask for a reference, so if they ask for a reference of, like basically if they need a reference of what an address is for Amazon Australia warehouse and you haven't done your shipment plan yet, don't stress. So you could do this. You give them this address. Now, again, that might not be the warehouse that Amazon tell you to deliver when you do your shipment plan, but that's just something to note. And you could just say address there, post that in, right? And then you want to ask for time or estimated time of production and shipping. And that is pretty much it. And you want to put here with logo and barcode printed. Cool. estimated time, production and shipping, cost of shipping, and they're the main things, right? If you want to ask anything else, then you can do that when you chat with them, because once you send this off, you can actually go into your messenger center for Alibaba. If they reply, or once they reply back, you can start talking to them, asking them different questions. And then after that, you just want to put, I look forward to working with you. You could say regards. And you could even add in here, up the top here, I run an online Amazon store, right? So you can put that in there. And that's pretty much it. You go ahead and send inquiry, and you want to do this for, again, 3 to 5 different suppliers. And some things to note as well, like I'm going to talk about some other things to note with suppliers and sort of things that you need to look out for when you're talking with them. But it's very easy. You just got to keep the English as simple as you can, right? Because these guys are from China, right? And their English is quite good, but just keep it as simple as you can, just so, you know, it's easy for everyone to understand. There might be some terms that you're not sure of. You learn them along the way, like basically, for instance, instead of saying units, they will say pieces. So they will say 100 pieces. And instead of boxes, so say if you're shipping in boxes to the Amazon warehouse, if you ship, 50 in each box, they will say 50 in each carton, right? They're just different things that you pick up on as you talk to them. But again, make sure that you get the best prices from as many different suppliers as you can. Maybe compare 2 together as well. Like if these guys give you a quote for $1,000, one gives you a quote for $900. Say if you like that other supplier better, say, can you match this $900, right? Or something, right? Say, this supplier's giving me this amount, or can you do this? And just don't stick with the one supplier all the time if they're not giving you what you want. Because at the end of the day, you're a business owner as well. And that's just something that you need to take note of, is don't go for the first offer that you see, right? That's just going by experience. There's always better offers out there. Only go for the offer if you know it's good for what you're getting. If you need a second opinion, go and ask someone else, or again, you can ask myself or whoever. Just get some help if you need it. But suppliers are something that you are going to need to talk to, and it's very easy to talk to, right? You just use the Alibaba Message Center. One other thing is make sure that you keep all the messaging and everything in Alibaba, okay? But that is how to find suppliers and how to contact them. So let's have a look at creating a listing, okay? And I'm going to run you through just a little video of how to actually create a listing, because it's quite simple, but there's a few things that you need to know. Now we're going to go over creating a listing, and I'm going to show you how to get there from your homepage of your Seller Central account. I'm not going to show you a step-by-step on this, but I think the better thing to do is to show you an actual listing and sort of break it down a little bit for you, just so you get a better idea of what you should be looking at when creating a listing. And like I said before, the reason we're doing this is because we need to create it in order to list it on Amazon's website, and in order to create a shipping plan, which will be later on in this video. So when you're at your home page, you want to go to inventory and manage inventory. And I'm gonna have to block out some of these parts of the page here, because this has some of my information from my seller account. So all you want to do here is, from here you go to add a product, okay? And then from here, bring it to your catalog. And the one thing you want to click is you can search for a product, but in this instance, we want to click I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon, because you want to do it directly from scratch, okay? So when we're looking for a category, you just want to get as close as you can to what you're looking to sell, okay? So you can search for it here, or you can look for it manually. We could look for kitchen and dining, look for coffee, tea, espresso, because in this instance, we want to sell the French press coffee maker, right? So we've got coffee roasters, so potentially this coffee roasters. So we select that. Now what I'll show you is you can click more attributes here, and this is just basically all the different info that you're going to need to put in. You won't have to fill out all of these, but some of these you will. And I'll show you, for instance, what the product ID is, a product name, brand name, and whatnot. So what I'm going to show you here is a very, very similar product. It's basically a French press anyway, but this is a filled out one. Okay, I've had this for quite a while. I always use this for demonstrations, and this just has all the info here, and I'll go through and explain just a little bit about each one, right? So the vital info here, and again, what you're going to need is, what you're going to need in order to actually list the product is the ones here that have the exclamation point. You need to make sure that these are filled out, that are outlined in red, so you can actually list the product. But these are the ones that I would recommend you to fill out. So first things first is a product ID. And this listing here has a UPC, but when we went ahead, if you haven't done it already, you will need to go ahead and buy an EAN. So an EAN is a European article number, and it's just the Aussie version of a UPC. In this case, this one's worked, but if you do go ahead and buy a barcode, I would suggest, if you haven't done it, to do so now, because you will need it in order to list the product. And then we don't need the actual barcode image, we just need the numbers from that barcode, and you put that in here. And what you would do is you would select EAN, you would come down to the drop down menu and select EAN, and then what you would do from there is just put in your product numbers, your barcode numbers, and you would go down to the drop down menu and select EAN instead of UPC. And then next you want to put in your product name. So I put in something very, very simple for this product. I just had the brand name. This isn't an actual brand name, it's one that I made up. Coffee Hero, Coffee Maker, Stainless Steel French Press, something very simple. And for this, I would probably get some inspiration from some of the top sellers in your category, some of the top selling products, and just really simplify it. Just say exactly what it is. Don't make it too long. Just make it exactly what the product is, and just have a few of the key details in the keywords, which would be stainless steel French press, coffee maker, the size, the color. Very, very simple stuff. Now the brand name is going to be your brand name. Just put that in there. And if you have, sometimes it has here, I don't think it does so anymore. It used to have here a manufacturer name. It might be in the next part. But if it has a manufacturer name, just put in your brand name as well, okay? Because essentially you are the manufacturer as well of that product, where you need to act as a manufacturer in this case. So if you have variations, you can put in variations here. So if you have like different sizes, different colors, you can put in variations there as well. In this case, we don't. Now the offer, this is where you put in your price, okay? So $39.97, and that is basically the main thing you need to fill out here. You can put in a quantity. So say if you're getting 100 shipped, you can put in 100 there into quantity. And that's basically all you really need to worry about at this stage. You can come here later on and do things like restock date and handling time and whatnot. Usually handling times more so if you are shipping it yourself, because we're doing FBA, we don't have to worry about that. But this is pretty much all. It's just the quantity and the standard price. Can try sales price out, but standard price usually works good for now. So compliance, this doesn't really need to be touched. Sometimes if your product has a battery in it, you'll need to fill out a separate form. I won't go over it in this video, but it's just a hazard form, and you're just basically listing that, or you're stating to Amazon that, okay, you fill out this form. Does it have a battery? Yes. And you're just saying that it's safe to sell with a battery, or if it doesn't have a battery or requires batteries, that kind of thing. But if it doesn't, like this coffee French press, we don't have to worry about it. Now, images. One thing, the main thing to note with images is your main image needs to be basically a product with a white background. It needs to be the product with a white background, and the product needs to try and fill at least 80% of the square, right, of the image. Your product needs to be 80% of the image if possible, or as close to the 80% if possible. Now, we don't really have a brand name for this because this is just sort of like a placeholder listing that I've done just for references, but you should try and have, if you've got a logo on the product, say if I had my logo here somewhere, you should try and have your logo on the product. And then for images, the main one needs to be, of course, the one on the white background. And I would suggest having at least 5 or 6 images, right? Around 5 or 6 images, because you need to have one on the white background. Then you need to have, say, 2 of how the product works. Well, I've got 2 of how the product works here. Or say these 2 are the ones of how the product works. And then you need another 2, at least have another 2 of the product actually being used, okay? So I don't have enough here. I've only got 4 images, but I would add in another 2 and maybe have 2 of how the product works, 2 of the product being used, like lifestyle images, and then another one of sort of like a breakdown, similar to this, of a breakdown of what the image is or what the product is, and basically the different parts of the product, or maybe put in something else like some extra features or something like that, right? So I won't go over too much in detail of the images, but what I would suggest is maybe when you're first starting, it's okay to use your supply images, because when you go into Alibaba, you can use their images maybe for a little while, but I would get your own images done up as quickly as you can. Get that sorted out as quickly as you can, because a lot of things, like one thing that a lot of people don't know is that the images that the suppliers use, a lot of the time, they don't even own the images themselves. They don't own the rights to use those images themselves. So Not only that, it looks better to do your own images. So if you get a product sample, you can do the photos up yourself, or you can have a product sent over to a freelancer, maybe from Airtasker or Upwork, and they can do the photos for you. Usually it costs around $80 to $100, and they can get some really nice images done up for you. And that's pretty much it for images. Just if you're doing some placeholder images just to get the listing up, do something similar to this. I just got this from Google. Again, I'm not really selling this, but you can just do that as placeholder for now, but I would suggest you getting your own images done as quickly as you can. So, description. Now, one main thing here, product description, in my opinion, you should put something there. It's not as important as the key product features, but I would suggest you at least put something here on maybe how it's used or some extra features. It says product description. The description you provide should pertain to the product in general, not your particular item. So yeah, just basically talk about what the product is and how it works and just general stuff. Now the key features here, and I'll show you what it looks like here. The key features, you can add a total of 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll show you what they look like. And this is sort of how I would suggest you do yours. Now the key features here, I put little emojis here because I think it looks a little bit better. And I just put first statement in capitals, fresh tasting coffee. You just talk what, like basically the benefits of the product, and then right at the end you put in your customer satisfaction guaranteed. The reason I put that there is because Amazon actually has a 30-day sort of money back guarantee, and if they do choose to return the product, Amazon sorts that out for you. So you should be safe to put in here, if you're not satisfied with the product for any reason, we offer a 30-day refund policy, no questions asked. The good part about that is because you're paying for Amazon services, they handle the returns on your behalf. So it's like they just return and then you just get the money refunded from your account, right? So that's basically how that works. But I would just put in here really, I guess the key features about the product, right? Fresh tasting coffee, clean stainless steel design, 350 ml capacity, and just put a little bit extra about what these dot points are, right? So you can put an extra one here, but I just did the 4 for now because they were basically the main points that I wanted to make. And if you are stuck on what to put here, even for your photos, if you're stuck on what to do for these, again, get some inspiration from the top sellers in your category, top sellers in your niche, and that should work out just fine. Now, keywords. One main thing about keywords is you can use a software like Merchant Words. These are just like your back-end keywords, so your customers won't see these. This just helps you get, this just helps your product basically get shown in front of customers when they type in something into the Amazon search bar, right? So what you're aiming to do is have the biggest and I guess the main search keywords in these search terms. And one thing to note is that this has a maximum capacity, this little bar here, a maximum capacity of 250 bytes, which is like 250 letters, I think, in my opinion, Now, one thing to note here is this little bar here, where you're putting in your search terms, has a total capacity of 250 bytes, which is like 250 letters, if I'm saying so correctly. So basically what you want to do is, again, you can either use Google Trends or you can use Merchant Words, which is a great tool that I use to look at the most searched keywords for the product that I'm trying to sell. And you just want to put in each one with a space in between. So teacup, cups, espresso, kitchen, home dining, right? So you can always come back and change these. Just make sure that you don't have the same keyword. So it's okay if I have coffee here multiple times, but you won't want to have like coffee machine and then coffee machine again, okay? Because that will hurt your chances of being searched even more. And try not to go over the 250 bytes, okay? Because if you go over the 250 bytes, then it might even basically nullify this whole section and you won't be able to be eligible for the search terms that you put in. So keep it just under 250 bytes or 250 letters and you should be fine. But that's basically it for the complete listing. So when you come to more details here, the only other really finite details that Amazon might ask you to put in, or what I would suggest you put in now anyway, is potentially the weight, maybe the shipping weight, but stuff like item dimensions as well, and possibly the package dimensions down here. You can put that in centimeters if you like. Put that in centimeters and you can do that. And Your supplier would give you these details. You can ask for them if you're really not sure, or you can get a reference from a similar product on Amazon as well. But that's basically it. That is how you would do at least the beginning part of your listing. And this is getting you prepared for when you list your product on the website and when you do shipping plan. The reason, or let's just say before you create your shipping plan, you're going to need an Amazon seller account. You're going to need to set that up. You're also going to need to create a listing. Now, you don't have to fully flesh out the listing. You don't need super high quality photos. You don't have to have it SEO optimized or anything like that. But you need a listing. And the reason you need a listing is because when you create a shipping plan, you need to link that product, link your listing, okay, to everything that you create in your shipping plan in order for Amazon to know when they receive the stock, okay, this stock is for this seller account, this stock is for this shipping plan, this stock is for this listing, and they know to connect everything together, okay? So just make sure you have those things set up before you start creating your shipping plan, otherwise you won't be able to create one. The reason you create a shipping plan is because you need to set or basically schedule the shipment with Amazon. So when Amazon receives your stock, they know that it's linked to your account. They know that it's linked to that listing. They know, okay, this shipment ID matches what's on this account, so that when they scan it into their system, first of all, they'll need it to receive it. Otherwise, they'll just reject it if they don't see it in their system, right? But once they receive their stock into their system, it will show up on your account and everything will link up properly, because you don't want any lost stock. You don't want any mishaps to happen, right? So that's the reason why you need to have that stuff before you set up your shipping plan. And there's a reason why we have a shipping plan. It's just to make sure that it's A-okay with Amazon and everything links up correctly. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into my computer. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, nice and simple. This is how you do it. Now, all you need to do is go through to your listing that you've already made. If you haven't made a listing, you're going to go ahead and do that before this. And when you're in your inventory, all you need to do is go to the right-hand side here and click on the little drop-down arrow, and then click on Send and Replenish Inventory. Now, just so you know, it looks different. The whole shipment plan sort of page here looks different to the old one. I'm going to leave the old one up on the course anyway, just so you know, like, you can use both. So you can use the old one, you've got the old workflow, we've got the new one. This time I'm going to show you the new one. It actually simplifies it a bit, and I think it's good to know how to use the new one anyway. So this is all we're doing. Now, I'm going to have to block out some of this here because this has one of my supplier's addresses here, so I'm going to have to block that. But all we're doing here is, okay, packing details. Packing details refer to the information about how your SKUs are packed. So we want to do individual units, whether it's a single SKU or multiple. Make sure you do individual. So what I mean is, if you have different colors, different sizes, make sure it's individual units. Let's say we're getting in, let's say, 80 units, okay? You can get in more, of course. Make sure that you try and not get it to exactly 100. If you want to do lower, do 99, maybe 95. Depends on what you work out with your supplier, but Amazon won't necessarily allow you to just do 100 out of 100. Completely fill your storage limit. So just to note that again, make sure that it is not exactly 100. You can even get, let's just say you order 100 from your supplier, get 1 sent to you, and then get the other 99 sent to Amazon. You can do that as well. So try and work something out with your supplier like that. And let's say we've got, okay, 80 units ready to pack. There we go. Now, again, this is also where we can print our SKU labels. This is the FN SKU. So before you do anything, you can even print your SKU labels. You can just click here. Okay, how many labels do you want to print? We have 80. There we go. Print. There we go. You've got your 80 FN SKUs right there. You can do one and they can just print it on there 80 times. Whatever you want to do, that's your FN SKU. That's the second way to get it. Very, very simple. So we go back. Okay, get out of this. Now we want to pack individual units. Okay, so we click pack individual units. These are the SKUs that are ready to send. 1. Okay, so packing information. How many boxes will these units fit into? So if your supplier is getting everything into one box, you just say everything will fit into one box. If they have, so we're going to go off 4 boxes, 20, 40, 60, 80. So we've got 20 in each. So let's just say your supplier said, okay, we can send through 4 boxes, 20 units in each, or 20 pieces in each box or carton. We click multiple boxes will be needed. Click confirm. How many boxes? Okay, we've got 4 boxes. Thing I forgot to say here, forgot to mention is in step 1, confirm inventory to send. It didn't say it for me because I already chose it, but it will ask who is labeling the products. Just make sure that you choose seller. Okay, just make sure you choose seller before you get into this part here. It says here exact number not needed, so it says this box count is an estimate. You can modify it in the Excel file by a maximum of 10 boxes above or below this estimate. So this here is the estimate. Just make sure that you confirm with your supplier how many boxes you'll need before you complete the Excel spreadsheet. But let's just say we know that it's 4, generate Excel file. And then we want to download it, because what we're doing here is we're uploading it back again. We're just verifying everything. So more than likely you will have Excel. There are other programs that you can use for this. Now it looks like a lot, but all we need to note here is, okay, expected quantity, 80. Now these are the 4 boxes here, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many in each? 20. And you see the number in the pink change, 40, 60, 80. The other thing that you're gonna need to get from your supplier is the weight of each box and the width, length, and height of each box. So just ask them for the weight of each box or each carton and the dimensions of each carton. So let's just say in kilograms each, they're 3 kilos each. All right, that's on the low side, I know, but this product that we're getting in, I'm not doing a shipment plan for the coffee plunger that we were talking about before, but it'll work exactly the same. I'm just doing it for a little derma roller here, just to showcase, you know, what could happen if you sold something like a little derma roller, which is a very little beauty product. It's like it's small and tiny, easily fits inside a shoebox, that kind of thing. But it would be the exact same thing if we were doing it for the coffee plunger, but works exactly the same. So that's why I'm just showing you with this product. So we've got the weight of each. Now let's just say the box width in centimeters was, let's just say it was 10, and then the length was, say, 15, then the height was 20. Let's just say that. Same thing here, we can just do 10, 10, and they may be different. That's why the Excel spreadsheets here, they may be different, but let's just say they're all the same in this case. 15, then we go 20, 20, 20. There we go, and that is all you need. For that is because, yes, your supplier is going to be doing it, but you are regarded as the seller for this, so it is you who's going to be doing it. Even though your supplier is going to be the one doing it, you're the one who's responsible, so you need to put seller, because we're not getting Amazon to do it, and if Amazon was to label it for us, then there would be a fee per unit as well, so make sure you choose seller for that before you get into the next part. And then, once you save it, you just want to go ahead and upload it straight back here. Okay, and then it will be verifying, and there we go, 4 boxes ready to go, and then you can go confirm and continue. Validating SKUs could take a few seconds. There we go, might take a few seconds, maybe a minute. Cool. So there we go, next part, confirm shipping, ship date. Ship date is the date you expect to hand your inventory to the carrier. So this is when your supplier is planning to ship it out. Usually they'll have an estimated time on the product page, but you can ask them. Usually it's around 10 to 15 days, so we could just say half a month for this. And it's just an estimation, so go around half a month. Here, there we go. And small parcel delivery, it's usually more than likely always going to be small parcel delivery, unless said otherwise, so just pick small parcel delivery. And then from here, this here is where you're shipping to. So when your supplier asks where it's shipping to, this is the exact address of the Amazon warehouse. So it may differ from what you've told them when you're getting your quote. Just make sure to give them this here, and it should be all good because it'll be on the shipping labels as well, which I'll show you in a second. So select shipping carrier. Now, if you don't know, you can say other as well, but if you do know, usually it could be toll. It could be either of these, like either of these 3, toll, Fastway, Australia Post. If you really want to be safe, you can do Australia Post. Click that. Again, if you're not sure, you can ask your supplier, or you can sort something out with your supplier or your freight forwarder, whoever you're dealing with. And the same thing goes with this ship date as well. If you're using a freight forwarder, just do the ship date based on when you think the freight forwarder is going to start moving the product from China over, into Australia. That's the ship date there. So continue. Okay, ready to continue. Everything looks good here. We're going to go accept charges. This should be 0 here, by the way. Accept charges and confirm shipping. That is it. Again, I'm going to have to block some of this out because this has one of my supplier's addresses on it. But it will have the shipment name, shipment ID, shipping from, shipping to, and then you just want to go ahead and click print. And that will give you the shipping labels. So So they'll come up in a PDF, you can save them, gives you the amount that you need. So in our case, it is 4, it's given us four labels, and then it gives you shipping to, shipping from, and that's it. You give these 2 suppliers and they slap them on the boxes or cartons, as your supplier might say, and that is it. The only thing you need to worry about, which I'll show you now, only other thing you may need to worry about, because we'll go back to our shipments, manage FBA shipments. The only other thing you may need to worry about here, I've just gone to manage FBA shipments, is once it gets shipped from your supplier or once it's moved to your freight forwarder and they're handling it from there, you'll most likely get a tracking ID, just a shipment ID tracking number. Make sure to provide with that. So it'll tell you that it provides missing tracking IDs, and you can also go and work shipment or view shipment, and then you can say once it's been shipped, you can click shipped, that it's been shipped on your actual shipment plan here. You can put in those missing tracking IDs as well, just to help Amazon know, okay, that's, we can track it as well, and we'll be ready to go and receive it once it comes in. So only other thing to note here is that once it is received by Amazon, you'll get an email saying, okay, we've got your shipment, we are starting to receive your items. They won't receive all at once most of the time. They will come in gradually. So say if you have 80 units, you might go into your account and see that if there's only 20 available and there's 60 on standby. Don't stress, and it can take up to a few days to even up to a week or so to fully receive it in. So don't stress if you see that, if you see stranded inventory or anything like that. Lastly, something you can do to check on your storage is there'll be a little drop down arrow here, and it will be really flush down at the bottom of the screen here. Just click that and it'll expand it, and this will show you your restock limits. Now, yours will most likely be the standard size storage, and once you do your shipment plan, it will fill out. So just say if you've done your shipment plan, say you've put in 95 units or 99 units or however many you've put in, and you need to delete your shipment plan, say something happened and you need to redo it again, just delete it and it'll get rid of the storage limit. It'll get rid of how much you've filled of that. Give it about 15 minutes or so, maybe even half an hour, then you can redo it again. So basically what will happen is once you've reached your limit, you won't be able to do another shipment plan and tell Amazon that you're trying to get more stock in, even if it's just a test, because it will say here on your restock limits, like on my oversized storage limits here, it's got, okay, 96 out of 100 units. I won't be able to do more than 3, maybe 4 units above that, okay? It's just an extra bit of info just to see your restock limits after you do shipment plan. So let's have a look at the shipping terms. Now, these are terms that the suppliers, the Chinese suppliers from Alibaba will also talk to you with, okay? And this is just something to note because it's very, very important when you're talking about shipping terms. So you've got 2 options. One is sea shipping. So when you're talking with a supplier, they'll offer sea shipping and air shipping. So sea shipping usually takes 20 to 30 days, maybe a little bit over 30 days, depending. Air shipping is 15 to 20 days, but it's currently a lot more expensive. So I would suggest these days, if you're shipping from China, just do sea shipping, because even though it's a bit of an extra weight, it saves you a lot more money. Now, back before COVID, it was very viable in the early days, it was very viable to do air shipping because it just wasn't as expensive. And it was just basically like sea shipping was even cheaper, but this was viable enough to, for the cost to do, and you could get it there a lot quicker. Prices were a lot cheaper back then. That's just how it is. But you can see what the air shipping price is. But most of the time these days, a lot of people just do sea shipping because it's just a lot cheaper. And if you do shipping that's too expensive, it just cuts into your profit margin too much. So that's one thing to note. Okay, so here's the shipping terms that your supplier will most likely talk to you about. So there's DDP shipping, which is delivery duty paid. So this is when the seller, your supplier, takes on almost all responsibility throughout the shipping process. They cover costs and risk of transporting goods, including import duties and custom charges. You will most likely be charged more from your supplier for this. So it costs more, but DDP shipping is the one that I would always recommend you go for. Okay, and then you also have DDU shipping, delivery duty unpaid. So this is when all the charges are paid by the buyer, you, including import duty and customs. The buyer will be contacted by customs to pay any duty owed before it's released. So if you want your supplier to do all that for you, usually it's going to cost more. Okay, maybe it's just a single fee that you pay, or maybe they increase the unit cost for you to do that. Maybe instead of being, $4.10, whatever it is, maybe it's $4.25 or something like that. I don't know. It really depends on what you work out with your supplier, but there's usually a fee to do that. But I usually like to do it because it's just a lot more, sort of what you need to do. It takes a lot off your plate. Okay, so even though it's fine, I've done both before. I like DDP shipping, so that is the one I would personally go for. Okay, so let's have a look at some tips. Okay, and this is what I recommend when talking with suppliers. These are things to note, and you can only really know this if you've talked to suppliers yourself before. So always contact more than one supplier. I always recommend, if you can, a minimum of 3 to 5, because you don't want to always just take the first deal available, and maybe your first supplier that you contact isn't responding as much. Maybe they're not sort of willing to work things out with you. It's always just good to get, compare prices and get more than one supplier into the mix. Okay. Clearly discuss terms and conditions, including shipping costs and terms. Always make sure it's nice and clear, and make sure that they understand what you are asking for. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you're a business owner. You want to get your end of the deal. Don't just think because this is your first time doing it that you're not entitled to the best of what you can get, because you are a business owner. You got to act like a business owner. And you have to really understand that everyone's out here to make money. The suppliers are out here to make money. They're willing to work with you, but you need to have your best interests in your mind at all times. Okay, so make sure that terms and conditions are discussed. Make sure that you keep everything on Alibaba as well. Okay. Like I just said, only make purchases and contact through Alibaba. So only message through the Alibaba system. Only make purchases through Alibaba because you have purchase insurance and things like that. Don't do wire transfers, and don't, they might ask you, hey, let's take this messaging on WhatsApp. Don't do that. Just say, look, I want to stick on Alibaba, because you have receipts of everything, and Alibaba is good with that kind of thing. They have your back if anything does happen. I haven't had anything wrong with my Alibaba orders, and from what I can see, none of my students or other sellers from Ecom Educate have either. So I always stick on Alibaba. You'll also need to give your supplier your logo, your FN SKU, which is your Amazon barcode, and shipping labels. Okay, so we go more into depth in this in the course, but all the stuff that you give to put on your product, on your packaging, your logo, your barcodes, any shipping labels, you just send them to your supplier through Alibaba chat. So really quickly, let's have a look at buying a barcode. All the products that you sell, any product that's sold online needs to have a barcode. Okay, so all products sold on Amazon also require an Australian registered barcode. These are called EANs, or European Artificial Numbers. The US version is called a UPC code. Okay, but the Australian version is called an EAN. Okay, so that's one thing to note. So here's a couple places to get them from. So first place, which is what I've always used, is Barcodes Mania. They're only $10 each. The delivery time is anywhere from, I think they've gotten better. Think about there maybe about half an hour to an hour, or sometimes a few hours. I've had no problems with them. Okay, a lot of people say, look, you need a GS1 registered barcode. Apparently these are GS1 registered. I personally haven't had any problems with it. I've used them for products in the US because they give you UPC and they give you a UPC and an EAN, so they can sell in US or in Australia as well. I haven't had any problems with them for both markets that I've sold in. Barcodes Australia is another one you can go for as well. They're just a bit more expensive, but they're meant to be GS1 certified and fully approved barcodes. But it really depends on what you want to, what direction you want to go into. There have been sellers that have bought barcodes from places like Barcodes Australia, and they still have issues with them. I'm really yet to have anyone, talk about having problems with their $10 barcode. So really, it's up to you, but I've always used Barcodes Mania myself. It's just cheaper because, and one thing that I want to note as well is that, a lot of times I get asked, hey, how many barcodes do I need if I'm selling 100 units? If you have one singular product, but you're selling 100 of them, you only need one barcode. Okay, and you just print off that same barcode. Your supplier prints off that same barcode 100 times. Okay, if you have, say, 100 products, but you have 50 of each, you only need 2 barcodes. Okay, so you don't need to buy 100 different barcodes for 100 different products or 100 of the same product. You only need a barcode for each different variation. So if you are selling, say, a plastic cup and you have 5 different colors, you're going to need 5 different barcodes. So that's just the easiest way to explain that. Okay, let's have a look at launching a product. And usually we like to use, I like to use Amazon PPC, which is Amazon pay-per-click. That's the advertising system. So again, we go into more depth of different launching strategies for your Amazon product, for your Amazon business in the course. But I just want to explain the Amazon pay-per-click, just launching it through Amazon PPC. Okay, so Amazon PPC or pay-per-click is Amazon's own advertising platform. Right, your ads only spend money when someone clicks on it. Okay, it basically utilizes Amazon's growing online traffic. So again, the goal is to advertise to the point where you get to the top of the first page or close to the top of the first page, and then you start getting organic sales, and then you slowly decrease your spend on ads so your profit increases. So the main thing is, the reason you're advertising is to get more sales, to grow, to improve your SEO, to improve your ranking of your product, get to the top of the first page as close as you can to that, and then you decrease and sort of get more organic sales. That's the whole goal, right? So maximize your profit, obviously. So great way to start selling momentum on your product, just like what I was talking about. So I really like Amazon PPC, and we'll talk a little bit about, I'll show you just really quickly how to actually launch an Amazon PPC campaign, because it's very, very helpful. Okay, so an example of this is, let's say you set, if we're selling the coffee press, we set a $10 a day budget for your coffee press. Okay, so with this, let's say it's $1.50 bid per click. So let's say, because you can set the bid per click, let's just say it's $1.50. So every time someone clicks on your ad, it spends $1.50. And the ad will stop spending once $10 budget is reached. So you can set the budget, you can set the bid amount as well. Very, very cool. It's very customizable, and you can either do automatic PPC, which is Amazon chooses the best keywords for you. You can do manual PPC, you choose the keywords for you as well. Again, we do go more into depth on that in Ecom Educate, but it's just a basic overview of launching a product and advertising. I like PPC. I think it's a very, very good platform. Now I'm going to show you how to basically launch a product and how to start advertising it using Amazon PPC. It's very, very simple to do. And I talk a lot about manual PPC campaigns where you actually choose your keyword yourself and whatnot. I talk about that a lot in the Ecom Excellence course. But again, automatic Amazon PPC campaigns are a great way to get started. So let me show you guys how to start advertising your product. Now, in order to do this, you're gonna have to make sure, obviously, that your listing is up and you've got stock at the Amazon warehouse already, so you can start selling it. So you're gonna make sure everything's ready to start selling. So this is sort of like a later stage when you're launching your first product. So what you wanna do is go ahead and go to Advertising and Campaign Manager. That'll bring you to the campaigns or the Amazon advertising page. And again, sorry, I'm gonna have to sort of block some of this out, but let's just say we wanted to go ahead and create a new campaign, right? So go ahead and create campaign, and that'll bring you to the campaign page. And we wanna go ahead and click sponsored products, because these don't apply to us. This is if you've got brand registered on Amazon. Go ahead and click sponsored product, go continue. And then let's say campaign name. So let's say we're obviously looking to advertise our French press, okay? French press, you could just say auto. Start date, so it'll be today, no end date. Daily budget, safe one to start off with is about $10. Then this is where we've got automatic targeting. So Amazon will target keywords and products that are similar to the product in your ad, okay? We're only going to worry about this in this video, right? Because being a complete beginner, you still got to learn how PPC works, and the best way to do that, in my opinion, is using automatic targeting. For this campaign bidding strategy, I do up and down. So basically what happens is Amazon raise your bids by a maximum of 100% in real time when your ad may be more likely to convert to a sale, and lower your bids when it's less likely to convert. So this is just sort of optimizing your ads. If say Amazon thinks, okay, this has got a higher chance to succeed on this bid, they'll raise it, right? If not, they'll lower it, okay? So again, do the ad group name. We'll do French press. We can just do French press 1 or something. You can do French press auto, whatever you want to do. Now I'm gonna have to block some of this, but we want to go ahead and click our coffee maker. We want to add that because these are the ones that we want to advertise. We want to advertise this product here, okay? Once that's done, go and scroll down. Then we'll go to automatic targeting. So set your default bid. So it'll give a suggested bid. you can either go for the suggested bid or you can go for something a little bit higher. So you might do maybe 2% above this. So you could do $1.21, or you could just say, if you wanted to go a little bit higher, do $1.50. I would at least go for the suggested bid as a minimum. I usually like to go a little bit higher. So maybe we'll stick to $1.50. And that's what's going to happen. That's the bid when someone clicks. You're going to spend $1.50 out of your $10 budget. Once your $10 is reached, then it'll stop for the day. Okay. So the next thing you want to look for here is what you can do is do any negative exact keywords or negative phrases. So let's just say if you didn't want your product to show when someone typed in something. So if you didn't want your product to show when someone typed in coffee machine, because you're obviously not looking to sell a coffee machine, you could do that, right? So that means that Amazon won't bother showing that product in front of people once, if they type in coffee machine, okay? Maybe you didn't want it to show when someone typed in tea, right? Or tea kettle, okay? You could do that. So you can add those keywords in, right? And that'll add in negative exact. So that just means that it's not going to spend any money or give the chance to spend money when people type in this. And that's pretty much it. Like I wouldn't worry about this here, the negative product targeting. Okay, you can actually put in products so your product won't show when certain products are searched for. I really don't worry about that, especially in the beginning. And that's pretty much it. Once you do that, you want to go ahead and hit launch campaign. It might take up to like half an hour to an hour to launch and to show, but then it'll start spending money. And that is the simple basics of how to launch. Things to play around with where when it comes to PPC is maybe the bid, which you can change when you go back into the advertising platform, the one we saw at the start of this video. And really the main things that I want to note with automatic PPC, especially when launching, is don't always aim to make money straight out of the gate with PPC. The main thing with PPC is getting your product in front of people. Yes, you can make money doing automatic PPC campaigns, but the main thing is I especially tell this to my students, is you're gathering data, right? You're gathering data with automatic targeting, gathering data because Amazon are choosing the keywords for you, and then you can actually pull out a spreadsheet, an Microsoft Excel spreadsheet of the keywords that worked the best. Like you could run this campaign for say a week, spend $70, and then you can see if you've got any sales or if you've got any clicks. More than likely you'll get clicks at least out of the ones that Amazon have chosen, and then you can start getting into manual campaigns and whatnot. But that is all I really need to talk about launching an ad for Amazon, and you can actually see how that's performing again in the dashboard that we looked at the start. But that's really the basics of what you need to know about automatic campaigns when running PPC. Now, one thing really quickly to mention is that reviews are the lifeblood of your product, okay? So no one wants to be the first person to try a product. So with reviews, every time you look on Amazon, first thing you usually look at is the price, the photos of the listing, and the reviews. And if a product doesn't have any reviews, I know myself, if a product doesn't have any reviews, I'm very, very skeptical to buy it. I'll sort of look at the product more and I won't trust it as much because, again, no one wants to be the first person to try a product. So when you're looking at sales on Amazon, you want to look at how to get reviews, and you want to look at, getting reviews as quickly as you can. Maybe you can get, say, a family member to leave a review. So incentivize reviews, okay, from friends or family, or you can get, you can hire someone to do it as well. So here's just a couple of ways to do it, okay? Because reviews are very, very important. So ask a friend or family to buy your product and leave a review. That's one way to do it. You've got to be careful with that because Amazon can track that. So just make sure that you don't link them the product. Make sure that they search for it organically, okay? You can hire a freelancer from sites like Airtasker or Upwork. I've done that before myself as well. Just be careful with how you do reviews, okay? I like friends and family doing it. I wouldn't really do review groups and things like that because, again, Amazon can track it. Just be careful, okay? You can also, the best way to do it, the absolute best way is to run PPC ads and follow up with customers after purchase. So you can actually message customers directly through Amazon, through their account, and just have a follow-up with them. You can also do package inserts as well. So you can get your supplier to do really basic, even if it's just a paper card, to just say, hey, you can leave a QR code on there, and you can say, hey, if you like this product, or give us your honest feedback. You can't say on there, leave a 5-star review. Amazon don't like that. You can just say, leave an honest review, or if you like this product, please give us some feedback. You can do a product insert. They tend to work really well, or do a follow-up with them. So incentivized reviews work really well. Be careful with how many you do as well. I like to have a ratio of maybe 10 sales to each one review. So don't do every sale you get, do a review, because Amazon gets suspicious about that as well. So just keep that in mind. But reviews, just get one up, even if it's just one, get that up as soon as possible. Okay. Get your 1 or 2 incentivized reviews, and you can start running PPC even harder, because if you run PPC and you don't have any reviews, it's going to be a little bit harder to get sales, because everyone sees that there's no reviews and they think, well, it's a new product, or it's not sort of like a product that people really want yet. Even if there's just one review, it means that, okay, someone's tried it. I don't have to be the first person to try it. I don't want to get scammed, basically. So that's one thing to note with reviews. Okay. Now here's a couple of extra tips for being a successful seller, really, really quickly. Okay. Very, very important stuff. So one, it takes time. Okay. So like I said, it's going to take time. Most of the successful sellers that have come from Ecom Educate, they don't start getting they don't start getting any super good success. I mean, like really big, consistent profits for at least, say, 6 to 12 months, around the 12-month mark. Okay. You can get there sooner, but you got to set realistic, or I want to set realistic expectations for you. Okay. So it takes time. Amazon is also a cash flow business. Okay. So you have to note that, yes, you can start with $1,000, $2,000, but it's not going to be like you put in $1,000 and then get 20 grand in return. Okay. It's most likely going to be like you put in $1,000 or $2,000 and then you've got, you make, maybe $4,000 to $5,000. Okay. And then out of that profit, you need to reinvest. So cash flow, and you might have some left over, but instead of just saying, thinking to yourself, how much can I pocket each month? You think, how much can I put back into it? And if you do that for 6 to 12 months, right, especially 12 months, right, you're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, you might get to a point where you're like, hey, I've got my money reinvested in, but I've got 4 or 5 grand in profit, right? That's extra. And I don't have to reinvest that. Maybe you reinvested into another product, but maybe your product's running on autopilot by that time. And then you have that 4,000 to 5,000 in pure profit per month. Maybe you're making like 20 to 30 grand in revenue, 40 grand in revenue, who knows by that point. And you've reinvested, you've got the profit to reinvest, and then you've got the profit to pocket. So that's the thing. Amazon's cash flow. It takes time, but if you build up the right infrastructure, you can get to that point. Okay. It really depends on your goals as well. And then the main thing that I would say, what I did when I first started and what all the successful sellers that have come from Ecom Educate did, is they got help from other sellers. Okay. Like I said, you don't have to get into my program. You don't have to get into my coaching. You don't have to get into a program at all. You can learn for free on YouTube. Get started for free on YouTube. Learn from my videos, learn from someone else, whoever it is. Get a free mentor, whoever it may be. Just get help from others. Get help from people who have sold themselves. Get help from people who are in the same spot as you, and start doing it together, because that's the main thing. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a lot. And again, if you want to get serious about selling on Amazon, click the first link down below, book a call with me. We'll go over where you're at with everything and how we can help you out with your Amazon business. Apart from that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day or night wherever you're watching. Stay safe. Give me a sub if you like this video. That would mean the world to me. If you do anything else, don't book a call with me if you don't want to. Don't get involved with what I have to offer. Just give this video a like and give me a sub. That would mean the world to me. Apart from that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day or night wherever you're watching. Stay safe. I'll see you guys in the next one.